As the leader of the Booner Pack, I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the up, boys.
It's pumping right now. It's got my juices pumping, boys.
With Jeff, Booner, Lukas, and Gentry. It is Monday, November 11th. It is Victory Monday. Victory Monday. Lions win. Comeback win. Historic comeback win. I mean, we're talking 1970. Anything remotely close to this has happened. 1970, I believe the Baltimore Colts were down against the Chicago Bears. It was multiple scores, and they found a way to win. Throwing 5 interceptions, which is a whole nother thing. Absolutely insane. I don't know where Booner just went, but when he gets back here.
I think he's accessorizing right now. He's got to get the gear on. I think it's like when the mascot runs out without the helmet or something. He doesn't know what he's doing. Hey, great atmosphere. Down at Tin Roof last night, too, with the fellas. Had some of the people, that Scratch Golf show come out. Man, it was a great time. And there was probably, like we talked about it earlier, like midway through the first quarter, emptied out. Vibe was dead. But Aaron Glenn, those Detroit Lions, Jared Goff, slow your roll a little bit. He'll bounce back. Back far. Worst showing we've seen out of him, but that's what happens. You have a complimentary football team. You have a guy who looked like an MVP, still's going to play MVP-like football down the stretch. But the defense stepped up, run game, Panay Sewell and Jahmyr Gibbs in that fourth quarter.
Oh, it was amazing. And Tin Roof was amazing. We were out there with Pat, Real American Beer. It was a blast. We appreciate Tin Roof for having us. All the people that stopped by, Scratch Golf in the chat, he was there. There's a bunch of people that showed up for the fellas. It was a lot of fun. Even the people that left, although I don't agree with it, you got to stay to the end, especially with this team, man. You saw last year against the Bears, how a couple interceptions, you're down, they come back in the fourth quarter. But and I said it earlier, man, it's just that's a team you're supposed to come back on. The Texans are a good team. And the way they were playing in the first half, I'm like, man, this does not look like the team we've seen to start the year. We needed a big second half. We're like, you gotta compete. You gotta be in this thing. And they did that. And not only that, but the defense holding them to 0. Jahmyr Gibbs making plays. Jared throwing 2 more picks, but still the offense making a ton of plays as well. That is a special win. That's what that is. That's something that you got to go out and take. You know what I mean? You got to take that.
And there's only so many teams. There's only so many teams that find a way to win like that. Booner. Oh, okay.
Hey, boys. Hey, Detroit Lions. Hey, I don't know what it is. Hey, it feels a little down in here right now, boys. Hey, why don't we wake up a little bit? Wake up. The Detroit Lions are unbeatable, boys. They are absolutely unbeatable. It is like, I don't know, Thanos when he has all those stones. No one can stop this team. No one. No. Hey, Jeff, we had that conversation at halftime yesterday. Is this what? Hey, are they They are better than the Kansas City Chiefs. Nobody on this earth will stop the Detroit Lions this season. It is the team of destiny. This is a Super Bowl year, boys. Hey, why don't we brighten up a little bit? Hey, get up a little bit, boys, huh?
There you
Drink
go.
some Kool-Aid with me.
This guy.
Come on, man. That was the most thrilling night of my life. Thrilling.
That
was unbelievable. I can't get over what happened last night. That I cannot get over it.
There was a point in time where we didn't think you would drink the Kool-Aid. We weren't sure.
I always had faith. Shout out to you have to have. There is a sense of, and people think I'm crazy. Right? People really think I'm crazy. There is a sense of positivity and manifestation. And yesterday when I felt the negativity in the room, I told you guys I got a text message last night in the third quarter from the one and only Stick. You guys remember last year, the Bears game, this game, that game, when the Lions and things felt down, Stick and I and D-Mac too would be like, hey, why don't we have turn this room around. Some positive vibes. There's a manifestation that needs to happen in here. And we needed to give all of our energy and positive energy to the Detroit Lions. And I got that text from Stick yesterday and said, you know what? I looked around. I was on stream with Caleb and Gentry. And I said, you know what, boys? Knock it off. No more negativity.
know.
You were actually sitting next to me too. No negativity. It's done. Positive vibes, and they turned this thing around. We got the field goal to go to the left, and things started happening and shaking our way. The Detroit Lions, dude, the grit, the poise. I watched and I posted it today. The video, the introductory press conference of Dan Campbell saying we are going to bite your kneecap. You can hit us and knock us down. We're going to bite your kneecap on our way up. Then you knock us down again. And we get up, and guess what we do? We're going to eat your other and bite your other kneecap. And you knock us down again. And we're going to get back up a third time. And we are going to absolutely dominate you. And that is going to be our identity. And yesterday was exactly what Dan Campbell was talking about when he said, we'll never give up, and we're going to fight, and we're going to bite your kneecap until you die before we do, because we're not going to lose. And that was what happened yesterday. 5 interceptions from Jared Goff, fellas. 5, and you still win the football game? Like, what are we talking about? Like, this team can win any game, anytime, anywhere. They could be down 40 points, and they're still
okay. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I by the way, I love this. This is great. Talking about a victory after that first half. I mean, it's great. And they confirm what we were asking them to confirm. Like, are you in the tier? Do you deserve to be in the tier with the Kansas City Chiefs? And that second half was yes. Yeah, absolutely. You know, you're not going to blow out every team every week. There's going to be there's going to be weeks where you're in a battle or you're down like they were, and they passed that test against the Vikings. They were down 10, but this was a little different because the Vikings, it seemed like they turned it around pretty quickly. They were down 10, but then they clawed back and they got back on track. This game was a whole half of just like, what is going on? They're the more physical team, typically week to week. They're getting outmanned on both sides of the ball, like in the trenches, losing. And that's the big thing that Dan always harps on. They want to be the more physical team. D'Amico Ryans and the Houston Texans were the more physical team in the first half. So the second half, you know what they did? I don't know what was said in that locker room. I don't know if the smelling salts was passed around. I don't know. But they walked out of there and they opened up a can of kick-ass. All right. And again, the Lions proved that, hey, we might sleep for a half, but we'll wake up. And that's all I was asking for at halftime. I'm like, man, you got to prove you deserve to be in that conversation. Hell, did they? That's the way you respond. Chiefs did the same thing. They're down 17-3 against the Broncos. Bo Nix. They find a way to win that game. Lions did exactly that. Doesn't have to be pretty, right? Doesn't have to be pretty. Still a victory. Still counts in the win column. So it's all that matters. And you beat a damn good team. Houston Texans, I don't care. They didn't have Nico Collins, Will Anderson. They're a very good team. Very good team. At home, too.
Yeah. Especially, like, it's even better, too, that the defense looked the way they did in the second half. And you're going to carry on that momentum against what is going to be a bad team offensively against Jacksonville and defensively, but offensively. And you're getting Zadarius Smith back this week. And most likely within the next 2 weeks, you're going to get Emmanuel Mosley and Ify Melifonwu, too. So this defense, the way that it played in that second half, even with the carry-on pass interferences and the holdings, they still found a way. They didn't give up any big plays down the stretch. In fact, there could have been big plays, but they took advantage of a mistake by C.J. Stroud, Carlton Davis hustling across the field, getting a second interception. So if this defense keeps it up, Jack Campbell, another huge game out of him. Josh Pascal, probably the best game of his career so far. They just keep stacking these W's. Lee McNeil got to the quarterback. Everything that the Detroit Lions defense needed to do in that second half, they did it, and they did it at an elite level.
Hey, I mean, I don't know what else. It's just,
I'll say it. Let me go. Zadarius Smith. I want to give a huge shout out to him. Dude, on the sideline, you saw the first half, they couldn't get to CJ Stroud. Second half, Pascal, Aleem, Houston, all these guys making plays. Like you see Zadarius Smith, and this is why he's such a culture guy. He's over there coaching the fellas up. He's laughing. He's keeping it lighthearted. He's like, "Hey, boys, we're good. All right, here, do this, do this. This is what I'm seeing on the sideline." And did they listen to him? And after the game, you see Zadarius in the pile. They're picking up Jake Bates. Zadarius is in that motherfucker. He's in the middle of it. Like he just confirmed even more how much of a culture guy he is. You know what I mean? So I don't know what Zadarius Smith did to these guys at halftime. I don't know if he gave them like a pep talk or something. They woke up. Like the matchup we talked about was Lee McNeil against this interior offensive line and how he's going to dominate. The second half, that was what we expected. Like I know he went down. It's something with his jaw. But, dude, he was a problem. And the run defense, oh, my gosh.
DJ Reader had a big game against the run.
Yeah. So Zadarius Smith, we'll get to the defense too later, but Zadarius Smith, man.
Dog, man.
This man is so valuable, not even playing. Imagine him on the field. If they had Zadarius out there, it would have been incredible. This week against them Jags,
I think,
better get ready.
Yeah, it's going to be a problem too.
Guys, like
this team, just in general, the fact that they're able to play as bad as they did offensively, and this is why this is a Super Bowl winning team. It's like last year. There are times, guys, where your offense is going to play bad. As much as for the last 5 weeks, you probably offensively you had a historic run offensively. Jared Goff had a historic run. The offense as a whole averaging over 40 points a game over the last 4 or 5 weeks. Like, these guys were playing at an elite level. And in the first half, or let's just say the first 3 quarters yesterday, they just could not connect. And there was the tipped passes for interceptions. Jared Goff was the passes he usually connects deep on guys with. They got picked off. Like, everything that you typically worked for this Detroit Lions team, the run game the first 3 quarters, even Jahmyr Gibbs and D-Mont, both of them could not get anything going the first 3 quarters. Nothing happened on offense for 3 quarters. And it was like, what is happening here? And then all of a sudden the switch gets flipped. But the fact that you're able to play as bad as you did on offense, and you're only down 13 points at half, and then you come back out in the second half and still play bad offensively, and you're like, we need something to pick us up. And Carlton Davis is able to step up and say, hey, I can do this. Not even your best 2 players on defense, not even Brian Branch or Kirby. Carlton Davis steps up and makes the 2 interceptions. Your defensive line starts turning things around. AG finds a way to say, hey, fellas, offense obviously isn't playing well today. We need to pick them up. Like, with one of our guys are down, we help pick them up on the other side. That's what they did defensively. And to show that, like, and I think this is the biggest thing that I took out of last night, to show that a couple weeks ago that you were able to win a game versus Tennessee strictly off special teams. About 4 or 5 games this year, you're strictly able to win games off just offense. And then a couple games, and then including last night in the second half, you're able to dominate and win a game off defense. This football team, it's so hard to beat a team like this. Like Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, like I think they both said it a couple weeks ago in their podcast or one of the podcasts that they had. Those are teams where it's like, when you play a team in the NFL, you're like, all right, where are their weaknesses? How do you take something away so you can beat them? All right, let's attack their defense in this spot because they're terrible. There's nothing to do with like the Lions. Like, if one part's bad, there's no way to get around beating this Detroit Lions team, because when their offense is struggling, the best offense in the NFL, somehow, some way, their special teams or defense is going to end up winning you the football game. And when those guys are struggling, Jared Goff and the offense is going to be playing really well. And like, you will never see a game this year where all 3 aspects of the game are playing bad. You won't. It just won't happen, because they're going to find a way. And shout out to Dan Campbell going into the locker room at halftime and pulling these guys together and being like, hey, we got to get your heads out of your you-know-what, and let's figure this thing out here. 1 possession at a time. It's a 2-possession game. Let's go figure this thing out. And to go in the locker room, my bad, I said 13. I think it was an 18-point game or 16-point game. And you go in there, 16-point game, and Dan's able to get this locker room together. Like, that speaks volumes. There's probably 2 teams in the entire NFL who could ever have a chance to have a comeback like that. That is the Detroit Lions and the Kansas City Chiefs. There is no other team in the NFL who can touch what the Lions did yesterday on the road. I don't care who was out for Houston. You can make all the excuses you want up. No, you're in the NFL. If you're playing the Carolina Panthers and you're just getting dominated like that for 3 quarters, to be able to get your team together and be like, we need to just pull this thing out. Like, that speaks volumes to me. I think there's only 2 teams in the NFL that could even touch that, and I think it's the Detroit Lions and Chiefs, fellas. And that was very clear yesterday. That was the test, Jeff, at halftime we talked about, and they passed it with flying colors. Flying colors. They didn't just get like a B plus on they went out there and got 110%, and they got the extra credit right yesterday, and they found a way to win the game.
Got the extra credit right, he said.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking right now, the play-by-play. I mean, you come out of half, you get a big-time interception. So now we're at, tin roof. We're getting excited. Big-time interception. We were talking about it. Need to stop here. They get a big-time interception. Then Goff throws a pick. And that was the one to Laporta. So now we're going, here we go. And the defense, they force a punt. Lions go down and score a touchdown. Like, after that Jared pick, the Laporta one, they're like, all right, defense, it's okay. You got an interception. Offense didn't capitalize on it. It's fine. They force a punt. Lions score a touchdown. after they scored to make it 13, it was 13-23. The Lions defense, another interception.
It's crazy.
And then that's when the Lions threw an interception. Like they were like canceling each other out. And then after that, the Texans just essentially could not do anything. I mean, they missed the I don't know how many yards that field goal was.
58.
They missed the 58-yarder, but they were punting. I mean, they couldn't get anything. John Mechie was making a ton of plays in the first half, and it's just Can
I say one last thing too? I want to throw it out there. I said it a couple weeks ago with the performance last night from AG and that guys. AG's getting a head coaching job at the end of the season. I don't see how he doesn't get a job. I think the New Orleans job. I said it last week or when they fired.
Perfect,
I think that is Aaron Glenn's job. I think he deserves that job. What he did last night in that second half it's incredible. And he deserves all the credit. He's done it multiple times this year with no Hutch, at times with no Brian Branch, at times with no Marcus Davenport, no Anzo. Like he has continued to find a way to keep this defense in games. One of the best points given up a game, like top 5, I think still. I had to double check that. Maybe just moved out, but like it's incredible what he's been doing. Red zone defense, all of that. Third down defense. It's just been insane.
Let's bring in Kory here. Kory Woods, shout out to him, man, joining us on a Victory Monday. I want to get his thoughts on it. He's full-time Lions now, so please over the show. Covers the Detroit Lions for MLive.com. Mr. Kory Woods. Kory, how you doing, my man?
Do y'all even need me today? Booner just stole my whole damn thunder.
Hey, let's go, Kory. We're on the same page here. I love it.
Hey, I mean, Kory, I don't know what to say. I mean, we're at Tin Roof doing this watch party. You know, everyone's evacuating at the first half. Everyone's like, man, screw this. Sunday night, I'm going to bed. And, you know, we're sitting there watching the game. We had a halftime discussion on air. And the biggest thing we were harping on is, you know, the Kansas City Chiefs find ways to win games, even if they look disgusting. Like the Broncos game, they're down 17-3. They find a way to win. Like, if you are in that class, then make it a game. You know, I don't care how bad you're getting outmanned on both sides of the ball. Figure it out. Kory, they did. Second half, they looked tremendous. They were much more physical, and they beat the Texans in kind of the score wasn't embarrassing, but the second half was embarrassing. I mean, that was they didn't score a single point in the second half. What's your thoughts on the comeback? First time since 1970 a team has thrown 5 picks in one with a double-digit deficit. I mean, what your thoughts on the win?
This is not revisionist history. You can go look at my Twitter, X, whatever you guys want to call it these days. You can go look at my Twitter X feed. And I hope that my camera is not going too crazy right now. Sorry about that if it is, but
no, you're good.
Okay, cool. So I said the one thing that is working in the Lions' favor right now is that this score is 23-7 going into the half. Because with the turnovers the Lions had and the blunders they had on the offense, they were holding the Texans to field goals. If they had scored touchdowns on even one or two more touchdowns, it would have been over. But they held them to field goals. So, okay, you're down 23-7. If you get a stop and score to open up the half, you're right back in this game with a lot of time left. Now, I was partially correct. They were able to go ahead and get the stop. You know, Carlton Davis opened up the second half with the interception on C.J. Stroud. But the game was not over. They have a high-powered offense, and one thing that we've known about this Lions team is that they are good at second-half adjustments. Aaron Glenn is great at second-half adjustments. And that's exactly what they did. When good teams are not always going to have their best day. It just is what it is. It's hard to just play at the level and beat the teams the way Lions have over the past couple of weeks. And you're talking about a Houston Texans team that is really good. D'Amico Ryans or Dan Campbell arguably could have been head coach of the year last season. So the fact that people were just jumping off the bandwagon so quickly is just like, hey, they're not going up against a bad team. And we've seen what happened when the Lions go up against good defenses this year. Things can get a little crazy, but just not to be too long-winded, I thought the comeback, in my opinion, was the most impressive Lions win that I've ever seen. I know a lot of people are saying that. I mean, I said it last night, so I'm glad I got that out there before all the radio shows started saying it. But it was the most impressive Lions win I've ever seen because They literally got punched in the mouth and had no business winning that game after Jared Goff threw 5 interceptions, and they found a way to win. When you were able to find a way to win, when you play your absolute worst offensive football for 3 quarters, and then your quarterback who threw those 5 picks straps up and goes 6 for 8 down the stretch with a touchdown, I mean, hey, that's impressive.
And Kory, kind of go along with it. Oh, my bad, Boone. I'm too mind blank. That's on me, Boone. I'll just keep going real quick. Then I'll go to you after. When you look at that defensive performance last night, especially in the second half, who do you think really stepped up the most, really clinched it for the defense to step up and really put the anchor on it?
Well, I mean, I think the easy one would be to say is Carlton Davis. I mean, you got the pair of picks. I think that's easy. I mean, getting the fact that they are not able to generate the pass rush that they desired, but they're still able to manufacture turnovers. That's great. Brian Branch, I mean, Brian Branch is looking like the steal of the draft last year. I mean, just the way this guy is playing is lights out. And the thing is, he's not even in his prime yet. It's just he, to me, and maybe I'm out of place when saying this, but he's still learning the league. So that he played well. Aleem McNeil, I mean, just wrecking havoc on the Texas O-line. But the guy that I want to go ahead and say who was the biggest reason they won that game on the defensive side of the ball is the guy, like I said, Booner stole my thunder. It's Aaron Glenn. What he's doing right now without Aiden Hutchinson, without Marcus Davenport, without Derek Barnes, no Iffy, he's lost a lot of pieces this season. Some haven't even played yet, and they're still finding ways to win games. It was impressive. What more can you really say?
Yeah, and Kory, I want to bring up too, just like obviously the Jared Goff situation, throwing the 5 interceptions. Obviously, your quarterback, you don't want to do that. Being in the building today, I saw you were there with the Dan Campbell press conference and all of that. What's just the feeling around that? It feels like it was just obviously a one bad game, and we've seen Jared have these performances, but how do you think like the bounce back from that? How does it show, and just kind of the feeling from the team to be able to bounce back from the 5 interceptions and be able to say, hey, let's come together. Like, we have different aspects of this game we could win, and kind of going through that.
Well, first off, I want to be careful how I say this, because turnovers are turnovers. It is what it is. I mean, he threw 5 picks, and I'm going to go through them. The first 2 picks, they were tip drills. I mean, the Texans have a great defense, and they were just tip drills. They batted it up. They were able to go ahead and get those. So, okay, cool, you got those. The third one, it was a Hail Mary. They were trying to get back in the game before the half. I don't really hold that one on them too much. Now, when we get to the last 2, that one to Laporta, bad throw. Bad throw. And then the last one to Jamison Williams, I thought it was a bad throw initially, but from what I heard, Dan Campbell said that Jamison Williams was actually not where he was supposed to be on that pick. So again, I'm not absolving him from having 5 turnovers, but at the same time, you have to look in the context of how they came. And that's why Jared Goff said his confidence really wasn't rattled, because he, outside of really can say the throw to Laporta, he didn't feel like he was throwing bad passes. And then on top of it, look, Taylor Decker definitely earned his extension. We seen what that looked like with him being out, and it was just a bad day in the office for their offensive line. Sometimes teams have a stinker, and that was a dud. And it was just a dud all the way around for the Lions offense. They could not stop the intensity, the rush that the Texans were bringing to them. And I think this will be a game that they'll be able to look at, study it, and then bury it. But I don't have any concerns about Jared Goff moving forward. I don't think fans should have any concerns about Jared Goff moving forward. I believe, last night's game was an aberration. We've known Jared Goff to just have one of those games per season where he just throws some unexplainable picks and good right now that he got that out of his system. Normally, when he has those games, they lose them. He got it out of his system and they won. So kudos to them.
Yeah, Kory, we talked about Jake Bates earlier, and the kind of the point I made about Jake Bates when he was first acquired is, I'm curious how Dan handles someone potentially he can trust. I think that's what Dan hasn't had, like a kicker he can be like, you know what, it's a 55-yard field goal. Let's just let him kick it. We'll see what he can do. I mean, Michael Badgley just isn't capable of hitting those type of kicks. He can hit within 40 to 50, but once you're getting to 50, 55, 58 even, you saw, he's just not letting Badgley do that. What do you think of just Jake Bates so far? I mean, he's perfect on the year. It seems like Brad Holmes and Dan have finally kind of figured out the kicker position. But, dude, on the road, this guy came from the UFL, and the biggest thing people asked was, can he play in these type of environments? He's been lights out, Kory, in all types of environments. What do you think about Jake Bates, kind of his story till now, being one of the best kickers right now in the league?
Well, I mean, hey, yesterday was the Jake Bates revenge game. He had to go back home and get his revenge on the Texans for getting rid of him last year before the season started. So hey, that was his moment to go back home and say, hey, this is what you've been missing. But I mean, let me kind of back up on that, because I mean the Texans have a damn good kicker, so I don't want to be too blasphemous with that. But look. We saw it during that UFL game, Michigan Panthers versus the Battlehawks at Ford Field, when you have a guy that is drilling back-to-back 60-yarders under a minute because the first one didn't count because they iced him. You can't let that guy leave the building. Bates didn't necessarily have a great training camp. He had some good kicks, but he didn't necessarily have a great training camp. But one thing that Dan Campbell and special teams coordinator Dave Phipps said was that they both said that they liked the way that he went about his business. And right now you're seeing that because they're trusting him in some very high-pressure situations. He made a very clutch kick a couple of weeks ago against the Vikings. A couple of clutch kicks right there just last night. I said this last year. When the Lions have a kicker that they believe they can trust, they will put it in his hands to go ahead and do what he needs to do. Without Jake Bates nailing those kicks, you're probably not looking at an 8-1 team. You're possibly looking at a 6-3 team. So, I mean, you got to give hats off to him. He's really been playing his butt off, and just kudos to Dan Campbell and company for putting that trust in Bates. Now this guy's trust, his confidence level is only going to get higher from here on out because they're trusting him in pressure situations, and he's making them.
Yeah, hey, Kory, another acquisition here for the Detroit Lions is the Darius Smith stuff. We had the conversation to start the show, like him being at the building yesterday, at the game, the leadership that we've already seen out of him, just, with the tablet there, just teaching guys, saying, hey, and then when I heard the post-game show that he went on and he had mentioned, like, hey, he told the guys to do this and look for this, and they went out there in the second half and dominated after he kind of made those comments. What are your thoughts now that we've seen the defensive line? James Houston stepped up. Some of these guys stepped up. Now with the addition of Zadarius Smith next week, what are your kind of expectations for that in the defensive line as he comes back in the next week?
Well, first off, I believe that Zadarius Smith is going to definitely help with that pressure. I mean, when he came, before he even came over to the Lions, he already had 23 tackles and 5 sacks on the season. So, I mean, if things go the right way, he might be trending toward another double-digit sack season. And even if he doesn't, just the attention that he's going to command is going to free up other guys like Onwuzurike and James Houston if he's out there. So I believe that's going to be really good. But also, and Josh Pascal, don't want to leave him out there as well. But also, too, you have to think about this. This is still a young Detroit Lions defensive line. So now you're able to have a guy in there that is a 3-time Pro Bowler and an All-Pro to be able to teach these guys. I spoke with Josh Pascal about a week ago, and he said that he was looking forward to learning from Zadarius. And being able to have a guy like that, not only, these guys are getting paid off the wazoo, but you have a guy that wanted to come here, easily could have stayed home because they're giving him the time off. He's now out there invested, coaching these guys up, pointing things out to them, being real hands-on with them. That is what you want to see. That, and I'll tell you this much. I know everybody's doing the whole comparing him to the Rasheed Wallace vibes of when the Pistons got Rasheed Wallace 20 years ago. I'm going to tell you right now, that is kind of accurate, because when I saw him walk in there, I kind of got that vibe of like, oh, this is a Rasheed Wallace type of thing. Not saying right now he's about to deliver some championship, some Super Bowl to the Lions, but just the energy and the way guys were gravitating toward him and the way that he was talking and how happy he was to be one of the guys. He gave off that Rasheed Wallace aura. So yeah, it's one thing to see it from, when you're outside of the building as a fan, but when you're actually in that locker room and seeing those guys interact with each other and how quickly he ingratiated himself with the locker room and to become one of the boys, it's something to that.
Two players that aren't acquisitions, but they're coming back from injuries. And Kory, I think it's going to be interesting to see how they get implemented, just because how good this defense is playing in the back end. Is Ife Melifonwu and Emmanuel Mosley, both those guys, especially Mosley, he came back quicker than I expected. But when do you think we're going to see those players return, and what do you think it's going to look like in that back end when they do, as far as the rotation goes?
Well, their 21-day clock has already started, so I believe I'm really curious to see how they're going to be incorporated. Iffy is really good in pass coverage, but he specializes on blitz. Shout out to Ben Raven for that one. And Emmanuel Mosley, this is a guy that has been dealing with some injuries, pretty much every step of the way. So I believe they're just able to get him out there healthy and he's able to play well. That'll be a plus for them. But I just don't see Iffy going back into that starter role with the safeties, because right now Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch are, and you can say this, they're the two top safeties in the NFL. They're the best safety tandem in the NFL, and I don't see how you go away from that right now. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I believe if he's going to be out, he's going to be mixed in there some way. I have full faith in what Aaron Glenn decides to do. But right now, if you're thinking about he's going to come back in and assume that starter role, I don't think it is. I don't think you can break up that tandem right now.
Great stuff, Kory. We appreciate you so much, man. Keep up the great work. I saw your man's attending press conferences talking to Dan Campbell. We're looking forward. We're looking forward to you joining us a lot more, Kory. So as long as you're free, you got some free time, the fellas, we can always get Kory Woods. Hey, keep up the great work. We appreciate you. Thank you.
No problem. Let me know.
I got you. There you go. Kory Woods, MLive.com, Detroit Lions. No more Detroit.
Appreciate you, Kory.
A little better. But you know what? He's covering the right team. He's covering the right team. I'll say it. He's covering the right team.
That close loss really motivating, huh?
Hey, Jeff, I'll help you out here. Jeff, we're not talking Pistons today. Detroit Lions had a historic win. We don't even need to bring it up. I got you, Jeff. Sometimes I do got your back here.
I appreciate it.
I got you sometimes.
I appreciate it. Well, guys, what do you think of we asked Kory this, but Jared Goff's performance in just the MVP stuff? We'd be remiss if we didn't mention it. Just kind of where he's at. Your confidence level in him moving forward. And I'll say this: I got all the confidence in Goff. I'm not worried at all. I think it's Kory put it really well. You're going to have those games where turnovers are going to happen. He had a couple in the first half that I wouldn't say were his faults. Even the Hail Mary, he's trying to make a play. Would you rather him not throw the ball and save his stats? He's trying to make a play downfield. Make a play
to get a touchdown.
Yeah, make a play. He has a pick there. The two in the second half were it was rough, but they were still able to overcome it. I'm not worried about Goff at all. I'm not concerned. He's shown us a big enough sample size. I think anyone that overreacts and says that they're worried about him long term is a prisoner of the moment and overreacting. But what I will say, and this is the kind of the reality of the NFL, he is out of the MVP race. I don't think you can come back from that, especially with how Lamar's playing. That's kind of what we talked about last week. Lamar coming off that Thursday night game and Goff going into Sunday, you needed a game out of him. And I'm not saying every pick was his fault, so therefore he's out of the race. I'm just simply saying based off the performance offensively as a whole. The offense did not play well, but again, as a quarterback, you look great. He gets the credit. You look bad. He gets the blame. That's the reality. And I think at this point, MVP hopes are, pretty much dead, but who cares? You're trying to win a Super Bowl. You know what I mean? That should probably be the bigger concern here. But what do you guys think of Goff's just for his performance in totality?
Let's call a spade at the end of the day. The Jared Goff you're going to get going forward, like what we saw to Jared Goff the last 5 weeks, fellas, that's the Jared Goff you have on your football team. Like yesterday was such a one-off, and we've seen it before. Like Kory said, like there's always a game every year, and I think there's like for different quarterbacks. Like we've seen Josh Allen go out there and get 3 or 4 interceptions. We've seen Tom Brady throw for 4 interceptions. We've seen all these players throw for big-time interceptions. Peyton Manning, like it happens. It comes around. You're gonna have a game like that, especially last night. Like the situationally, like Jeff, how you said, and I said it at halftime. All 3 of those first picks, in my opinion, like yeah, maybe you could have said Goff. Can make a better decision for a ball not to get tipped. But when he's trying to make a play, those first two picks, and it's just a tip, and it's just, hey, the ball's up in the air. It's like those really aren't. It's hard to blame the quarterback for that because he's just getting the ball. That like it's not like he just made a bad decision or a bad throw. It was the ball. Hey, ball gets tipped by a defensive lineman. Ball's in the air. It's a tip drill. So, and then obviously the Hail Mary. So those 3. Now you could say the deep ball. I think it was to JMO. Kory said that Dan mentioned might have been in the wrong position. I don't know with those situations. I'm not going to speculate on that, but those last 2 were tough. Those weren't great. So yeah, I mean, he made some bad decisions. Now, Jeff, like I don't think he's not going to win MVP because of that game. There are games and there are players who win MVPs who have bad games. 5 interceptions is a tough look. If you watch the full game, like those first 3 interceptions, it's tough to put that on him, but they're still on his stat sheet. So yeah, it's tough. He has a tougher chance. Can he still be a finalist? Like if he goes out and did what he did the last 5 weeks for the rest of the season and turns this thing around, he's not going to probably win it if Lamar keeps doing what he's doing. But guess what? You still have the best Jared Goff out of there. And like, who cares at the end of the day if the man wins MVP? Like, if he wins a Super Bowl, listen, if Lamar wants to win his 3rd MVP and keep losing in the playoffs, go ahead. Do not care. I would rather Jared Goff win 0 MVPs in his career and go win a Super Bowl for the Detroit Lions. Like that's where I'm at with it. And if we have the Jared Goff, and I've not seen Goff in the playoffs to where when the time comes down to it, and like push comes to shove in the playoffs, guess who always shows up? Jared Goff. And like he always plays good games, and he's smart. And that stretch of football that we've seen out of him, that good stretch, that's what you see out of him in the playoffs. And then yesterday was proven to where, hey, if Jared Goff does have like a little bit of a struggling game in a playoff game, guess what? Like you're still going to find a way to win the game. So there's no worry to me. Like obviously, like that's not an MVP performance. Just Sunday night football, prime time. Like I really don't care. Like I really don't care. For the people who are like thinking it's funny, like, oh, he's not an MVP. It does not irk me. I don't think it should irk any Lions fan. It shouldn't irk anyone that Goff isn't in that conversation right now, because all it is, I saw Schiff got put it in there. The only one that matters is a Super Bowl MVP. That's it. That is it. So like if he goes and wins that and wins the Super Bowl and wins the MVP in that game, thank you, Jared Goff. That's all that matters to the city of Detroit. I don't think Dan Campbell should have won Coach of the Year the last year, maybe even the year before. Guess what? Who cares if he did it? Still went to the NFC Championship game and put up a hell of a fight. So I'm not worried. I know though for a fact, guys, the last thing I'll say on this Jared Goff stuff, we will have the Jared Goff that we've seen the last 4 or 5 weeks. Like he has gone nowhere. Like that was a game to where the fact Kory can come in here and say that Jared is still that confident after throwing 5 interceptions should show you guys a lot about what Jared Goff is and who he is as a player and a leader. Like that, like think about that. Like if you threw 5 interceptions in a game and you're still confident to go win a football game and then to continue to go play at an MVP level, yeah, like, come on now. He's going to continue to play at an MVP level at the end of the day. He just won't win it.
Yeah, I'm with you, but I think Jared Goff, not only the picks were bad, but you saw early on, like I don't know why, like especially early on when Jared first got in Detroit, those balls that would the passes that would just slip out of his hand and just go into the dirt. And he had a couple of those early on last night. So it's just like one of those games where you know Jared was going to be off, but it's going to be his worst game of the season, probably the worst game of his career, and especially the Detroit Lions. So going forward, Jared Goff's going to give you a very similar stretch to what we've seen to Booner's point. He's not going to win MVP, but he'll be right back in that top 5, I think, especially the way that you look at the AFC South schedule they got going on. Chicago's Bears defense looking vulnerable right now. Green Bay Packers, I think in Ford Field's going to be a different story. And then you got the matchup with San Francisco and Josh Allen with the Buffalo Bills. So he's got a narrative builder, but right now the narrative is dead as far as him winning the MVP. But he's still going to be playing some good football. So I'm not worried about Goff whatsoever.
Will he win it? No. Is he going to play at an MVP level the rest of the season? Yes. Like that's what it is. Like he's going to play at an MVP level like he has been.
Yeah, I think in terms of like who will probably be, I mean, unless Josh Allen has like a terrible game, I think it's probably going to be between Lamar or Josh Allen. Well, that's what it's looking like at this point. I will say though, there's only been 11 players in NFL history that have, or 12 players, excuse me, 12 players that have won MVP and the Super Bowl in the same season. It's not common. Actually, before Mahomes, he did it in 2022. It hasn't happened since Kurt Warner in 1999. So
it's a jinx.
Yeah, exactly. That's how people tend to look. I mean, Mahomes was like the outlier since 1999 when Kurt Warner did it. So for Goff, it's like, yeah, MVP, who cares? I mean, Lamar's won. He's going to win 3. I think he'll win this one. So 3, and he hasn't had a Super Bowl to show for it. Hell, he hasn't even had an appearance to show for it. So that's a good way to look at it. Is like, is the MVP the ultimate goal? No, it's not. You know, it's about the Super Bowl. So I'm not too concerned at all. And the thing that hurts is not just the picks, but he was pressured so much. Like the percentage. I mean, he was 15 of 30. Like the completion percentage thing wasn't. I mean, he didn't play well in that realm either. It just seemed like the offense was odd. It seemed like typically what we've seen out of this offense early in games is like Jared just dissecting a defense. Seemed like they were trying to hit these home run plays right away. I mean, there was a play early, the shot to J-Mo. There was actually two guys running downfield. I think it was J-Mo and it might have been Leaf or someone else. And they were double covered. So they had 2 guys. They were not giving up any big plays. And you had Amon-Ra over the middle, and you take the shot to J-Mo. It's like, what are we doing? I mean, just what Goff does so well is just dissect defenses, even if it's like 4 yards, 5 yards, 6 yards, 4 yards. 8-yard run. Okay, back to 3 yards. And then we get a big play. It just seemed like the offense was out of whack. It was like play calling Goff. The O-line wasn't protecting him in the first half. So it wasn't even all Goff. It was just the offense in general. It was just, I mean, he didn't play well, but the offense did not play well.
I was going to say, that's a big thing too, though. Like the offensive line was pass protect. He was getting pressured so much. He was getting beat up the whole time. Like those first 2 picks, for them to be in a position to tip that ball, like your offensive line just getting pushed back and him trying to get the ball out and not being able to get the ball out at the end of the day. Like that's essentially what that is. And it's the same thing. Like as you go down to the game, he made what was the pass to at the end of the game. And he still he made a great pass and it was almost to clinch the game. Oh, it was the one to like the 2 or 3 yard line to who was that? Was it to Laporta?
Towards the end of the game, you're saying that?
Yeah, someone caught the ball and got it almost a 2 or 3 yard line and got tackled. Yeah, and he's throwing it there, and he still has a guy in his face, and he should have got pass interference or roughing the passer, and he's just got a guy helmet to helmet on him because the offensive line isn't blocking. So you could feel like down. Some people are saying Amon-Ra, Shift God said you could feel it though, like as the game's going on, like he was getting just pressured to start the game instantly. And it took until the 3rd or 4th quarter for him to kind of feel a little comfortable even getting hit and being like, okay, I'm just going to have to take these hits and make these plays. And it felt like Ben started calling plays that he was able to get the ball out maybe a little quicker and find different ways, like the Jahmyr Gibbs little screen passes, like just different things where it's like, hey, we need to get something here. And they were able to figure something out. But that offensive line, you could tell yesterday did struggle, which isn't good. But like, if your offensive line struggles, that's like the bread and butter of your team. Like everything starts through that. Like the run game, the pass game, like pass protection, play act, everything starts with the offensive line. And it was even evident like the first 2 quarters, like the run game was not even that great. And they were getting stuffed. So like the offensive line, they had to figure that thing out and they ended up getting it done. So it felt like it was just top to bottom offensively, just nothing was there. And Ben, by the way, I know we won. I forgot about this because the last 24 hours I've been celebrating the win. Ben Johnson, listen, he called so many good plays down the stretch. In the 3rd quarter, I think it was the 3rd quarter.
3 straight, bro. When
you need to get a score and you finally get your defense does what they were doing. When your defense is out there getting interceptions and stops, to go 3 straight runs in a row just to go 3 and out and punt the ball. That was, I don't know, Jeff, where you were at with that right there. I was like, and he did good. Like Ben ended up finding his rhythm and got into it towards the 4th quarter. But at that point, and we were down, I was like, okay, Ben, like you cannot go run if you know you're not going to go for it on 4th down. Like that's essentially, in my opinion, when you're running it that many times, I feel like, all right, you're going to go for it on fourth down, especially where they were. That was crazy. 3 and out with just 3 straight runs is insane, especially when the run game just was not clicking at that point.
Yeah, especially like they finally got that fourth quarter. Penei Sewell and Jahmyr Gibbs looked like Shaq and Kobe out there in the clutch, and they had Tim Patrick and Amon Ra kind of chipping in. But they were running out of the shotgun that left the whole game. They never got anything. And it was just like, even in that fourth quarter, they tried to do that swing pass, which they were getting chunk yards with Penei and Jahmyr to the right side. They tried doing it to the left, and Dan Skipper couldn't get out there. And it was just a gain of nothing. So I just think what they just needed to stick what was working for them was Jahmyr Gibbs and Penei Sewell. Penei Sewell struggled, especially in that first half, too. And he found a way to kind of get back. D'Amico Autry and Neil Hunter got the best of him a couple of times. But in that second half, Penei Sewell put that offensive line, just that offense in general, on his back. So he needs to get some recognition, I think, today.
Yeah, I think that's been probably being both like a little stubborn because it's like one of these runs is going to pop, and then partially probably trying to take the ball a little bit out of Goff's hands. And you know, they believe the run game can, any play they run with Jahmyr or David could pop for 40 yards potentially.
Sure.
So, you know, maybe it was a little weird, you know, and honestly, I'll even say just because we'll get to the defense in a couple of minutes. I just want to mention the Jake Bates thing real quick, because I know we talked a lot about him before the season, but the fact that Dan, he probably could have ran another play, took a timeout to get him closer. And the fact that he stood there and was like, no, we're letting this dude kick a 52-yarder and he nukes it. We talked to Kory about it, and, you know, it's crazy. Now, like, his story is a whole nother thing. Like, it's incredible. It's awesome. We got to see him play for the Michigan Panthers. We were at the Michigan Panthers game, one game they played, and Jake Bates was kicking bombs. And we all left there thinking, okay, this guy needs to become a Detroit Lion as soon as possible. We didn't know the Lions would actually bring him in and sign him. And there were other teams that were interested. But the Lions bring this man in. Dan Campbell has a kicker, and you're seeing the discipline with him. It's probably more so trust than just having a kicker. But Dan Campbell, like, there was multiple times he could have went for it on fourth down, and they thought, you know what, let's just let him kick. And he came in clutch and proved Dan right. So I think Jake Bates, the Lions having a kicker, especially come the postseason. I mean, you see how many of these games are decided by kicks. And not only that, but I mean, you might have a game where you're not scoring touchdowns every drive, but you got to settle for kicks. And when you have a guy that's essentially automatic, I mean, literally this year he's perfect. It puts you in a different tier. I mentioned it before the season too. Teams that make Super Bowl runs, or, you know, we'll even go last year playoffs. The 4 teams in the playoff, you had the Ravens, Tucker. You had the Chiefs, Buckner. You had the 49ers, Jake Moody. And then you had the Lions, Michael Badgley. I mean, those were the 4 teams left. So kicking matters. It does. And it's hard to get right. But when you do have a kicker you can trust, it does put your team, in my opinion, it takes them up a notch. Because now, like the Chiefs, even though they have Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, they have Buckner, who can hit 60-yard bombs. And this guy, now you got Bates, who's hitting these type of kicks. Now you finally have a kicker to kind of put you in that conversation. I mean, yeah, they're right on par with the Chiefs, but like having a kicker that's capable, guys, it is a bigger advantage than probably people even think. I do believe that.
Can we all admit, I think, and this is just me, I think that's one of the best acquisitions that Brad Holmes has made over the last couple of years since he's been in Detroit. I know he's made some big-time moves, but finally getting a kicker, and I know, like, being like with Dan Campbell with the kicker, like, that's not that big. Jeff, you said it. Like, there was times last night where you probably could have said, hey, usually Dan Campbell will go for this fourth down. Usually he's going to go for a touchdown instead of a field goal here, or he's going to go to get this instead of – and he just kept going, nope, we're trusting our kicker. Like, 2 of the last 3 possessions that you've had, you went out there and hit a field goal, 58 and 53-yarder in the game winner. So, like he trusts him. And, like, knowing now, looking back at it for Brad and them to bring him in, and Kory brought up a really good point. He wasn't like he was kicking good in training camp, but it wasn't like the best. Like, you weren't like wowed. That you knew the leg power that he had, but there was still that battle between him and Badgley. And Jeff, I think me and you were like, he's going to win it 100%. And we had that conversation, but it was still like it's up in the air. Like, he's still in the battle until Badgley gets hurt. And then they never brought in another kicker for a little bit. Like, I think they might have brought someone in at one point, but they really just did it. And then Dan kept getting asked the question. And the one thing that stood out to me was Dan and Brad both just being like, listen, he's got the leg. He has the confidence. It's just he needs to grow. And like, I remember vividly Dan saying in the preseason, like, we need it. Like, if he misses kicks, okay, who cares? Like, that's him growing and learning, like, as an NFL kicker. And like in the preseason, he missed the extra point. Guess what? He's learning and he's growing. And that was what Dan said he needed to do. It's just like, he needed to build that up. Like, it's a callus. Like, you got to build this thing up and you have to just keep getting better and better and better. The man is 14 for 14 on the season. He's kicked multiple game winners in the NFL at this point. I don't know if the preseason, you guys want to count that, but he did in Kansas City. Like, he is out there and like, he is proving why he was such a not overhyped, but such a hyped up product coming out of the USFL and the Michigan Panthers. Like, he has dominated 14 for 14 guys. Like, he is perfect. And like, it was crazy too yesterday. How many kicks do you guys ever see that are like within an inch of going in? I think both of those kicks were within an inch combined. An inch combined. Like, that was incredible. And like, they knew it was going. Like, it was like right on the edge, and the whole time it just like that thing's going in. And Panay, did you guys see Panay like on the ground? Like, that's such a good acquisition getting Jake Bates. And when Jeff in the playoffs, like you said, when you're in the Super Bowl, remember the Super Bowl last year, guys, the Chiefs 49ers, it was a kick fest. Like, those guys were just booting field goals the whole game. But it was Butker versus Jake Moody essentially the whole game. And it was just like, who's going to kick more field goals is going to win this game. And that's what it came down to the whole time. And like, that's what it's going to be in playoff games this year. The Rams, you won off a field goal. It's going to be the same exact thing in the playoffs. And if you have a kicker you trust like Jake Bates, that is one of the most valuable things to have in the NFL, especially with as good of an offense as you have right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he just keeps proving guys like me who was very skeptical going into the season about, again, never denied the leg talent that he had, never denied the kick power they had, but his ability to hit those type of kicks in big moments in prime time to win the game just like that, a 58-yarder beforehand and a 52-yarder to follow it up. Jake Bates is exactly what this team needs going forward, and you guys are exactly right. I don't need to harp on it much more. It's their new franchise kicker.
Hey, you guys, is there any not like I think you're muted, Jeff, by the way. Is there any like he lines up now and I'm just like, this is good. Before, maybe at the beginning of the year, you're like, okay, come on, Jake, come on. I think after last night, I think everyone has confidence in him.
Yeah, I trust that dude. I mean, he's done it on the road. He's done it at home. He's done it at sold out, stadiums. He's done it away sold out stadiums. I mean, I don't know. I mean, he's gonna miss. Obviously, he's human, but it's not like I'll never be in a position where I'm like, right. Jake Bates is gonna kick. Like, I'm not phased. He's proven that to me now. That like he's capable of, crunch time, just hitting an absolute 60-yarder. I mean, he had those probably could have been good from 65, 70. I mean, the dude, it was to the left, but it had some air under it. I mean, it was flying. What makes me think? Back to the Tucker hitting the 70-yard field goal to beat the Lions. What was it like? Yeah. Like Bates he's gonna get that. Hey, we're gonna get that back one day. We're gonna get that back one day.
Imagine if it was in the Super Bowl.
Win a game with Bates hitting a 70-yarder.
Super Bowl versus the Ravens. Lamar Jackson MVP. Jake Jake Bates hits a 70-something yard field goal. That would be unbelievable. On that breaks the record on Tucker in front of him to win the Super Bowl. Oh my gosh, that would be like a dream.
They'll get it back.
I did see, though, there was some criticism on Twitter. I don't know who the guy was. There were some people that were putting out tweets like going at Dan Campbell, being like the decision he made to not run the ball on third down to give Jake Bates a couple extra yards. Look at the kick that he almost missed. I was like, and these are like, this wasn't like just like a random troll. This was like a guy, like a credentialed, this was someone from a different city. Like, I think it was like from DC or something, like genuinely like questioning Dan Campbell's decision to not run the ball on third down and get Jake Bates a couple more yards so he could have an easier kick. I was like, they made it. Like, am I missing something? Did the guy miss the kick?
Klotz, you can, because you kind of enlightened me yesterday on
that. Because it's like one of those things where it's like, how many times did we see him try to run between the tackles, David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, and it went nowhere. It went for a loss of yards, a holding call. You got Dan Skipper in there instead of Taylor Decker. Like, anything could happen to move that offensive line or just offense in general back 5, 10, even 3 yards. So you could see that he was confident. I mean, you just watched him hit a field goal that was 6 yards longer than that. So to risk anything, you keep him where he's at, and he would have been comfortable. So, again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So, Dan Campbell, you even saw him, like, Dan Campbell didn't want to call a timeout there in general. Like that man was almost ready to forfeit a delay of game, and it would have moved back 5 more yards and still would have been within his range.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. Yesterday at the time, I was like, I would have maybe gave him some, but then I thought, and then we talked about it, Klotz, on air too. It's like, yeah, it makes a ton of sense. I mean, why would you line up? God forbid there's something holding call offsides. Now you get scooted back a couple yards.
A fumble.
Yeah, or at the worst, you turn the ball over. But
defensively, that's like your one job if you're about to lose the game is just go after the ball. It just takes one punch, and then it's like, all right, you just lost the ball. You can't kick a field goal.
With all those possibilities, yeah, I mean, I have no problem with what Dan did. I see the chat talking about Aziz Al-Shaair, huh?
Yeah, that dude.
Hey, Klotz.
Chris Collinsworth was hyping him up too. That he's good. He's good. All three of them. Bullock got a pick. Petrie didn't have the pick, but he had that pass deflection that led to a pick, and he was stopping stuff in the run game. That defense is good, very good, especially with D'Amico Ryans. I mean, we saw it. Detroit Lions offense has not looked like that all year.
They needed a test like that, though, defensively.
They definitely did. I was shocked, though. I thought that was going to be the Brian Flores, the Vikings defense, that you were going to get the test. And when that was the conversation, I said it on the stream, like, all we talked about was the Brian Flores versus Ben Johnson, and we did it. That's a miss, I guess, on us and a miss on everyone that covered the game. Was I'd never heard all week long, hey, D'Amico versus Ben Johnson, and that was like a setup for it. One of the best defensive minds in the NFL versus one of the best offensive minds in the NFL. We should have had some sort of sense of that it was going to be a tough offensive, not tough, but like as bad as it was, but it was going to be an absolute grind fest.
Well, and as much as you want to, as much as coordinators, they matter. At times, players make plays, and the Texans have they have better players than the Vikings do. They just, even though Brian Flores is like a mastermind, I mean, the Texans have dudes. They didn't have Will Anderson. They still had Daniil Hunter, I watched a clip of him working Panay on one rep too. Like he got him good. Like Daniil's still one of the best too. I mean, he's a dude. And their secondary, I mean, they have a lot of guys. Like Petrie, Bullock, obviously Stingley, Kamari Lassiter had 2 picks in that game. Like Kamari Lassiter,
2 of them. I didn't see it. 2 of them.
Yeah,
he got hurt too. Yeah,
before he went down. Yeah, 2 picks, man. Kamari Lassiter. So
rookie
guys are making plays.
Right?
Yeah. So he has 3 interceptions on the season. They got good pieces in Houston. And I don't think that guy Cole Thompson, when he joined the show, he was lying. I mean, this is a potential Super Bowl matchup. I mean, we'll see. I think it'll be Chiefs and Texans. I think the Ravens defensively got a lot of issues. They do. At least the Texans have a complete they have a damn good roster as a whole, and they have good coaches.
If the Ravens were in the situation that the Lions were yesterday against that team, I understand they've been down against like the Cincinnati Bengals and been able to come back. But you look, again, that's a complete team in Houston right now. I do not think the Ravens, I don't think the Packers, I don't think the Eagles. To Booner's point earlier, there's only 2 teams, the Chiefs and the Lions, that will be able to do that. And I think that proves like a Super Bowl caliber team. You could say the excuse for the 49ers, but even just like one on paper, they're not the same without Brandon Ayuk. And you see Debo, everything on the sideline, like they just don't look in sync. And that's a Bucs team without Mike Evans or Chris Godwin. So the Lions and Chiefs are premier of the NFL right now. I don't see a world where, honestly, I don't think the Ravens make it past the divisional round. I would be, because they're not going to be the 1 seed. Could they be the 1 seed? No, because Chiefs are undefeated. So yeah, there's a good chance. Like if they play a tough team in the opening round, the Baltimore gets bounced early.
One thing I know of the show, but the defense, fellas, the defense was in the second half, it's out literally. I mean, they did not allow a point. Not allow a point. I just went through the drives earlier. Interception, punt, interception, and then missed field goal at the end. Like they could not get anything going. Aaron Glenn got a game ball, rightfully so. The defense, I mean, you had Carlton Davis 2 picks, 2 incredible picks. You had, like I said, Aleem, Josh, who else? Pat O'Connor.
Stepped up. James Houston, the problem.
Yeah, James Houston shit himself.
No, cleared it up. He cleared it up. He had a statement. He sat in some Gatorade. Easy mistake.
Nobody else sat in that same spot. Not one.
They cleaned it up. He sat in it and goes, "Hey boys, you left the Gatorade on the bench," and they cleaned it up for him.
Yeah.
Easy mistake.
Why?
Not doing this to our. No, it was yellow. It was like yellow orange
Gatorade.
You're
a superstitious guy.
I'm not going to tell.
It takes for James Houston to go out there to get a sack and a forced fumble. All power to him. Who's he does like the pivot, Channing.
Channing Crowder.
Channing Crowder. He used to piss on his leg. Like, he'd piss himself before games, and he'd go out there and he'd play some ball. It's all right. James Houston needs to take a little shit in his pants and go out there.
Hold on.
It'll be to his advantage. I mean, everybody's going to be firing off the lineup a little bit quicker, try to get away from him.
I didn't expect the piss on the leg thing. I didn't even know that.
You didn't hear? Yeah, I'm talking to you. He would just piss on his leg.
That's okay. That's a whole nother thing. I mean, that's a whole nother thing. I think he shit himself. I'm gonna be honest. I think he shit himself. There's no way that a little bit. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Come on now.
I think, you know what? If I'm Houston, I'm saying I sat in Gatorade too. I would not. I mean, you're not admitting you shit yourself. You're just not doing that. So you're just not.
There's not a brown flavored Gatorade out there. Like orange Gatorade, like that would look orange, and it wouldn't be like no way. I'm debunking that.
I would think like orange, and like when it gets in the pants, it's like yellow maybe, and it looked like a little brown. Like they tried to put water on it and scrub it out. I mean, give the man a break. Hey, give the man a break, huh?
His PR agent? What the fuck?
No, just give the man a break, dude. I've been asking for James Houston to step up and do something for the last probably 15, 16 months. And he finally did. And I think when we got home last night, we were all talking. And we're like, imagine James Houston going home and be like, I finally had a good week. Like, it's been years. And he goes on Twitter, and it's like everyone just like the man just has poop all over his pants, dude. It's like, dude, that's like, come on. Like, give the man a break. Let him enjoy it. And he tweets out, and he's like, he tweets out and he's like, "Come on, guys! Like, I sat in Gatorade. Like, you know what? If no one's gonna believe you, James, I got you, man. I'll be the one. I'll step up.
Positive vibes.
Guys working. I mean, you're his PR agent. I mean,
I'll step up. I'll do it if I have to.
But you know who didn't shit his pants?
You,
Carlton Davis. He didn't shit his pants. He didn't have to shit his pants at least to make plays. So Carlton Davis, I got to give that man some love here because, you know, he's got his hands on some footballs throughout the year, but 2 picks in a game, and they were like nasty picks too. They weren't even like gimmies. Like they were like, I'll take that, please and thank you, type of picks. So what'd you guys think of just the defense, AG, the credit? I guess this man's been, you know, people have been taking some shots at AG at times. I mean, we mentioned the defense. We've had this conversation. Second half was incredible. First half, not so much on both sides of the ball. But second half, very good from the defense.
Klotz, I'll let you cook here for a second. Go ahead, and then I got something too.
It feels good in Detroit to finally he's not an elite caliber corner, but he was playing like it last night. That's what happens when you actually have a cornerback one on your defense. And outside of him, like Brian Branch made numerous tackles where he's coming up to throw bubble screen to Tank Dell, to Robert Woods, and he's taking on the blocker and the ball carrier, and he's taking them both down. And then you look at that front seven. You look at Trevor Nowaski, Boone, stepping up again. Ben Neiman stepping up. Jack Campbell and Alex Anzalone both playing great. And they got both a couple times in pass coverage, but they made up for it. Then you look at Josh Pascal. He keeps getting better week in, week out. Aleem McNeil gets a sack. DJ Reader is not going to show up on the stat sheet, but you look at what they did against the run, holding Joe Mixon to 40 yards. That is DJ Reader. Then we just got done talking about Pat O'Connor and James Houston. These guys just keep stepping up and kept getting put in positions to succeed with Aaron Glenn. There's not a knock that you could say about Aaron Glenn right now. And defensively, they don't have all the big names on defenses outside of Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch. You could say Aleem McNeil if you want, but I don't think he's a household name around the NFL. Damn good player, but he's not a premier defender. But they're playing like a premier defense. They're confident. They're not making mistakes. Even guys like Terrion, he's not letting those interceptions leak into, or the pass interference and holdings leak into the next play. He's still in a good spots. It's just he's still got that same thing where he's just got to turn around and track the ball. Once Terrion's able to correct that, this defense is just going to be elite on all 3 levels. And we just talked about it too. Zadarius Smith, Manuel Mosley, Ife Melifonwu, all those guys are coming back. So this defense, we talked about it. Can they keep playing at a top 5 level? And I'm like, I don't know how long they can keep it going for. But for another week, at least in that second half, they look like a top 5 defense in the NFL.
And, all right, there is a sense like, and this is where I go a little bit with this, guys, because the second half, Klotz, I love that point too, because if you just look at the interception to start, interception to start, punt, interception, punt, missed field goal. Like that is as good of a half of defensive football that you can get. And that is all credit to Aaron Glenn. And obviously as well, the guys on the field making those plays, but AG being able to get those guys like that. Let's just go to the first half, though, real quick, because it's like they did give up, 23 points in the first half. But, like, look at the position they're getting put in, guys. And this is what the argument in the situation that I gave up, or I had talked about a couple weeks ago when one of the games where we were all like, well, why are they giving up so many points? Guys, I think it was versus the Vikings this came up last time. First possession of the game, Jared Goff interception. Put your defense instantly right on the field at the 41-yard line. And guess what happens right after the first interception? They go score a touchdown. So that's already right off the bat. The first score you give up is off of offensive interception. And you're like, all right, what are we doing here? Now, right after that, boom. Guess what your offense does? 3 and out. And now your defense is right back on the field basically within a minute, it feels like. Like within a minute of play, you have no rest after giving up an 8-play drive for 5 minutes. Your offense is just, boom, done. Defense has to go back on the field. Guess what? Give up a field goal. And then again, you give up another field goal. But then, like, you start looking at this, guys, like Jared Goff throws an interception, give up a field goal, give up points. And that another 3 and out towards the end of the second half. Guess what? Detroit Lions defense still finds a way to step up and say, like, all right, we've been on the field for a million minutes in this first half. We're the ones that are just staying on the field. Guess what they do? They finally force a punt to help Jared Goff in the offense. And guess what happens right after that? Another 3 and out from Dan Campbell or from Ben Johnson in that offense. And at that point, you're sitting there. You gave up a touchdown and 2 field goals. You're sitting there and you're sitting like, all right, maybe we have a chance. Defense is starting to hold up a little bit. As soon as you get a 3 and out and you force them to punt the ball, your offense with 1 minute and 30 seconds left, like you're like, at least get us to half offense. Like at least give us a chance to have a break and get off the field. And guess what happens? A 1-yard run, an incomplete pass, and within 10 seconds, your defense is back on the field with 1 minute and 30 left, and you're like, hey, guess what? Hey, can you get us another stop, please? Can you do this for us again? And it's like the pressure that the offense was putting on that defense the first half was brutal. And even in the third quarter with those 2 interceptions, same exact thing. But guess what? Your defense steps up. AG, guys, I love the passion that this man coaches with. If you see those videos, like he's in. It's like he's playing football again. So, like, I think AG has done a great job. Carlton Davis to step up, and then even the defensive line to do what they did in the second half. It should give people hope. It should really give like Lions fans hope that this D line is able to get pressure. And then last thing, and Jeff, before you go, just last thing with this, Joe Mixon, 25 carries, 1.3 yards a carry, 1.5. Like, it is insane. I mean, the man he couldn't do anything. He had 25. Josh Pascal, I think I told you guys in the car on the way home yesterday. Josh Pascal in the run game is elite. DJ Reader in the run game, elite. Lee McNeil, run game, elite. Levi O over there, elite. Like, these guys are just elite in the run game, and they finally bounced back. So all of those, like, woes that we had about the run game, hey, Jeff, maybe it was just a couple game stretch where it was like, hey, we got to figure this thing out without Hutch.
That's all it was.
There's a little buffer time in between. Like, we just need to get this down a little bit. We need to feel this out a little bit. And they were able to do it. To be able to do a guy that what we said with Joe Mixon, out of his 6 games, having 5 over 100 yards, rushing yards, and the last 4 games going over 100 rushing yards, and you to hold him to 25 carries and 50-something yards is incredible. Like, that should be the biggest point of this football game. Jake Bates and this rush defense. That was incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just, guys, before we welcome in Caleb here, the historic, like, that's pretty historic. I mean, what they did. Someone put out a stat. It's like last time a running back's had 25 carries and it has had like 1.5 yards per carry. It's like insane what they did. And Joe Mixon, is playing like one of the best backs in the league, and they made him look. I mean, I thought it was
going to be a long day too after that screen, and he was breaking it like 33 yards. Like, oh boy, we go. Yeah, me too. I mean, and it's the run deep. They have the personnel. It's just for whatever reason. I mean, and they fixed kind of the problem. I mean, you saw the Texans try and run towards the edges, and they cleaned it right up. You saw Jack and Anzo shoot right to it, and they couldn't do it. So let's bring in Caleb here. We'll get his kind of thoughts on the whole thing. Caleb,
what up, guys? What up?
How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling great. Woke up happy this morning. I think the whole city of Detroit woke up happy. That was the grittiest Detroit Lions win, I think, under the Dan Campbell era. I mean, in the first half, nothing was going your way. Your quarterback was playing the worst game of his career. Your defense was giving up big plays, and in the second half, you still had to face some adversity. You were getting turnovers, but you weren't getting points off the turnovers, and your offense just kept stalling out. And then your playmakers just started making plays. Carlton Davis gets a couple picks. Jameer Gibbs gets it going. Your offensive line gets it going. And yeah, man, that was an awesome win. I mean, what could you say about the Detroit fucking Lions right now? Best team in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know really what to add. I mean, we talked about just the entire game and just how crazy the comeback was. It's hard to win in the NFL, but it's hard as shit to win those type of games. I mean, those type of games, it's tough. I mean, you're getting your ass whooped in the first half, and they figure it out. So defense, positive. And you know what? They got an opportunity this week to build on that confidence. You might get Mac Jones this week. All right, you might get Mac Jones.
Oh, hey, that's a better opponent than Trevor Lawrence. I can tell you that much. He's been shit in the bed this year.
Well, I mean, Mac Jones actually shit the bed last week, too. I don't know if he looked, but he didn't play well either.
Hey, look better than Trevor.
Oh, here we go.
You're king. You're king or prince, I should say.
Crazy.
Prince.
Know, the prince. No, no, not quite the prince. No, Nick Wright. Not quite the prince. But Lions are going to have a confidence builder this week. I mean, the Jacksonville, the Jags don't know what's coming. I mean, that line, they're at home, right? Or is that on the road?
At home, 13-point favorites.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. 13 points. I think that's the biggest of the year for the NFL.
That's bigger than the Titans.
Yeah, the Titans, I think we were, 12.5, maybe 11?
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, 13. But, I mean, it has the same vibe as the Titans team. There's no worry in this team. This isn't a trap game. We're just going to go there and take care of business. We're the better team by far. I mean, that's pretty obvious.
The trap game of this season was last night, and they found a way to win. I think because I understand that the Houston Texans, you're not going to be like, oh, that's a team that's just a trap. But the way that the Detroit Lions have been looking, no Nico Collins, no Stephon Diggs, they're getting these players coming off. The Texans, they just had a big loss in New York on primetime where the offense looked like shit. And so 83, whatever they did the poll on NBC before the game was 83% of America picked the Detroit Lions. And I know it's not like we talked about the Titans and we were giving Booner shit, obviously, but this is the trap game. There's going to be a trap game going forward, because I'm not going to consider a divisional game a trap game. It was last night, because I don't see them after last night. It wakes them up. You were down 16 at halftime against a team that you were much better than, in my opinion. Houston's still a very good team, but they're not a top 2 team in the NFL, top 1 team in the NFL. There's levels there. So I think going forward, I don't see them getting in a trap game. I think there could be some losses, but I see it's maybe the Buffalo Bills or the San Francisco 49ers. I don't see them dropping any games in the division, and even if they do, it's not a trap game.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the games that are going to be – I mean, like you said, there's going to be games where they're not heavily favored, and we might go into San Fran. We might not be favored in that game. There's no more trap games for the Detroit Lions. The games that we need to win and should win, I think we're gonna win.
I saw a graphic. I think the Lions are going to be a favorite in the rest of their games. As of now, I don't know where someone got it. I just saw a graphic, and every single game they're favored. They have a really good percentage of winning all of them. This week, I think they're already 11-point favorites over the Jags. I want to ask you guys this though, because I've heard this on the radio today. Lions, are they going to lose a game? Where are we at with that? We did it last week. I know we're talking trap game and all that. Is there a time where it's just not even a trap game where it's just hey, you just get caught slipping? I don't know. I don't think this Lions team, I don't want to be the guy to be hey, they're going 16-1. You know what I mean? I don't want to be that guy. That's the slappy of slappy. But it genuinely feels like this is a team. Yeah, it feels like this is a team where
you're walking the line.
But okay, but do you guys see what I'm saying? You're sitting here a little bit, and you think in your head, you're okay, they're gonna have a bad game at some point. They're going to get caught slipping at some point. Every team in the NFL, even the greatest in the NFL, have gotten caught slipping at some point. This is the National Football League. But last night, as we were sitting there, I was oh, this is the game they got caught slipping. This is their second loss. Maybe they get one more this year, but this is one of them. We got to endure this. And then just all of a sudden they come back and they win. And I'm in my mind, when I was doing the Kool-Aid chug and everything last night, when I said I don't know, I don't think anyone can beat this Lions team. I genuinely believe that. Like, I don't like, even in the playoffs, like, I just don't see a world until you get to the Super Bowl versus the Chiefs where it's like, all right, like, we have a bad defensive game. Guess what? Like, we're going to put 40 up on you. Oh, we have a bad offensive game. Guess what? We're going to hold you under 24. We're going to go out there and beat you on a 53-yard Jake Bates kick. Like, I don't see a world. That's what's crazy. Like, I don't know. I genuinely, I can't, like, just sit here and confidently be like, yeah, they're going to lose another game. I can't. Even if it's a divisional game. Like, think about the game last year with the Bears on the road. Like, that was their slip-up game. Guess what? This year they slip up. Guys, they're going to win the game. Even if they have a bad game, they're going to beat the Bears.
Put up 3 against the Patriots, a whopping 3.
Yeah, like, there's no way. I just don't see a world where it's like there is a game where they slip up and they lose. I don't think they have an opponent. The only 2 that I have, like, any question of would be the Bills versus Josh Allen, because if you slip up versus Josh Allen, he can make you pay, or the San Francisco 49ers with CMC and Debo and those type of players and that defense they have. That is it. That's it. At most 2. Like,
not week 12 with those Colts.
Klotz, let's be realistic here. Where we live on planet Earth.
Hey, Klotz, you got some problems to figure out with the Colts. I mean, Kenny Moore's saying no one around here works hard. That's a whole nother thing. You got to figure out.
Am I wrong though with that?
Reiterate what you just real quick. Like,
where
give
the
me like a
losses coming? Are they going to lose?
Are they gonna give me a sentence so I can?
Am I crazy for thinking this team could go 16-1? There you go, Jeff. I said it. Am I crazy to think like there is a world where we get to the playoffs and the Lions are 16-1 and they've won 15 straight football games? Am I crazy? Like, I need an intervention. If so, someone help me.
So crazy is maybe a little aggressive. Do I think we're maybe potentially maybe, letting that is it prisoner of the moment a little bit? Maybe, I think I will say this. I think they go 14-3. Okay. I think they go 14-3. And here's why. I think they lose a divisional game.
And then I think why.
I think they lose a divisional game because it's just how it works. You're going to face 2 very good teams still, Packers and Vikings. And I think those games are always going to be close. And I think they lose to either the Bills or the 49ers. I just think maybe they drop one of those games. And I don't know if the 49ers are on the road. Is the Bills at home?
Mm-hmm. Bills is at home, yeah.
I'm more confident in that, but still, like, those are 2 very tough teams. So 14-3 is still the number 1 seed in the NFC. So in the number 1 seed. So I'm not going to freak out about it. I don't want to say you're crazy, but just how the NFL is, they're not going to go 16-1. No.
Well, I mean, that's a tough question. Like, to your point, you saying like, oh, that's just not how it works. Like, that's how the NFL works. This Lions team might just be different. Like, we played terrible yesterday. We played horrible and we won on the road in prime time. Am I saying this team's going to go 16-1? I don't know. That's like a tough prediction to make right now. That's a bold prediction to make. But this Lions team might just be one of the best teams ever in the NFL. They might just be different. So I don't know. It's tough. I like you said, like, the Bills game is going to be tough. The 49ers game is going to be tough. But I don't know. This team, they're really fucking good, man. They're really good.
I would say there is in the NFL, there is a chance. Like, you just know there's going to be a game where they're going to drop. Jeff, I want to ask you, like, specifically, what are the losses? Like, I know you mentioned the NFC North. Let's get into the gritty. Hey, I saw that look over there. You're like, okay,
well, because I might have just said it. That's why.
Did you? All right, I'm talking about NFC North. You said it. You said a divisional game. I didn't know.
This is what I think, Boone. Okay, I think 1 NFC North game they're going to drop, and I think 1 of Bills or 49ers.
Okay, okay. So I am listening. I am locked in. Which NFC North game do you think they will lose? That's my question.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, don't call me out. Hey, maybe you need to listen a little bit over there.
You asked me which teams are going to lose to. I told you. But what NFC North team?
I said I want to get in the gritty.
I did say Packers or Vikings. There you go.
Both that.
They're going to drop one of those games. They're going to drop one of those. You're not going to go undefeated in the NFC North and 1 loss on the entire year.
I'm interested. All right. Yeah.
Guys, I would be honest. If I'm being real, I would rather them drop a game. Like, to be like, even the undefeated Patriots didn't win the Super Bowl. Like, let's be like, sometimes you do need a loss for reflection and be like, okay, this is what we need to work on. When you're riding high into the playoffs and you haven't lost since week 2, to me, I don't know, maybe it's just the fan, so looking at history, I'm just not like, I'm like, ugh, like undefeated all the way out through the playoffs. Like Let's look at likelihood. It's what would that be, like 17, 16 straight wins? That would be. That's guys like that is insane.
That's what it's like. I mean, we all are expecting the Detroit Lions to make the Super Bowl. That's what the Kansas City Chiefs are probably going to be on a run. Like, they'll probably drop one this year, maybe two. I think the Lions drop one, but I think they sweep their way to the division because I understand Green Bay's pissed off about what happened, but so are the Detroit Lions. They remember what happened on Thanksgiving last year. Not to mention, we look at this defense. We talked about it numerous times already. It's only going to get better. I think that when you have the Minnesota Vikings, week 18, maybe that's like a default loss because the Lions will have the number one seed locked up, get Hendon Hooker some playing time, let the guys rest a little bit, maybe there. But even like when you watch the San Francisco 49er team, I think they drop it to the Bills. I'm going to pick a loss. I'm going to say the Buffalo Bills. But even going into San Francisco, one, the motivation that they have, and two, if you just watch this 49er team, I know people are saying in the chat, they just do not look like the typical San Francisco 49ers. I know they're going to get Christian McCaffrey back, but at some point, it's just the Detroit Lions are the better team, and they're undefeated on the road this year. And at the conversation that you're kind of just having, Jeff, as far as how many can you win in a row until it really starts to hurt you, if you keep winning and they're like hard-fought wins, they're not just gimme games where you're beating up on the AFC South and the NFC South. Like, the Lions have had some hard-fought games, especially early on in the season, so they'll be battle tests. When you look at like the Chiefs, I'm just saying that because that's the other contender, strength of schedule. It's not even close. The Lions have a much harder strength of schedule. When the Minnesota Vikings were 13-3, 13-4, whatever they were, their schedule was a cakewalk. And then they finally played a semi-legitimate team with Daniel Jones that all fall apart. So I don't think the Lions are a team that are going to get snuck up on in the playoffs. I agree with you that it's definitely harder to keep it rolling when you get to the 15 straight, 16 straight. I don't think they'll be there. But at the same time, like, on paper, this Lions team is better than every team they play going forward. So I think they do sweep through the NFC North, but they'll drop one. If I had to pick one, it'll be the Bills.
I would say, and at what point do we say, just like with this, when we look at the Lions schedule, like as good as they're playing, at what point, like, do we say it's a lock for the NFC North? And then I know the one seed, you still have two teams, the Eagles and Vikings, sit behind you with 2 losses.
It's going to change this Thursday.
Who plays this Thursday? Eagles
Commanders play, so one of them will have 3 losses.
Oh yeah. I'm interested to see at what point do we go like, hey, that one seed, like, does that San Fran game in week 17, will that even have I mean, I don't even think they're going to be in the race for the one seed. But
I mean, maybe not for like the head-to-head matchup where we all thought it was going to be Lions Niners at the 1 and 2 seed, but I'd be willing to bet the winner of Thursday night's game is going to be in striking distance of the Lions. And if they drop one to the Bills, they'd go to a 2-loss team. Eagles, whoever, Commanders, probably swimming around 3 losses. There would definitely be some implications on the line.
Can I? And I want to rebuttal here because you mentioned like. So do we? I'll ask you guys, and then I'll give my take. Do you believe the Lions will be undefeated on the road?
Yeah, because I think they got Chicago, San Francisco, Indy.
They have Indy, Chicago, San Fran.
Yes or no? Go around the room.
That's what I'm
yes.
Yes.
And what about you, Caleb? Undefeated on the road.
I'm looking at the schedule right now. Yeah, I think they will. I think they'll be undefeated on the road.
Okay, so since 2000, only one team has been undefeated on the road and won the Super Bowl.
All right. Can we just get? Why do we always? You can find any stat and be like, this team has played, ran for 567 yards exactly and won a Super Bowl. There's only one team. Like, we can pull those out. Like, we don't want to just get a loss on the road just to be like, we want to win a Super Bowl.
No, because
on the road. Who cares about that? You are always finding these stats where it's like, well, this team has only done this much to the Super Bowl. I don't care. The Lions haven't won a playoff game in 40 years than they did last year. Who cares?
So when
you always are bringing up doing this to win a Super Bowl. There hasn't been an MVP that won a Super Bowl since Kurt Warner. That's a good thing. Jared Goff's out of the. I don't care.
No, in our business, you have to care. This matters.
You don't.
So let me tell you this real quick, okay? It matters. 100% it does because it's history. When we bring up the Lions' first time that a team's thrown 5 picks and have come back double digits since 1970, it matters. So data matters when it fits our narrative. But when it doesn't, we don't like it. It's not how I operate. All right. I'm telling you data, whether you fucking like it or not. All right. And only one team since 2000 has went undefeated and won the Super Bowl. It's not even about the Super Bowl. My point is they're going to drop guys. Like I get works. It's great. It's a fun time. They're going to lose some games here. You know, maybe I think max 2. I'm with Boone. He said max 2. I think that's probably the max. But like they're not going 16-1, unfortunately. Like they are like they're just not. I mean, guys.
I'm not trying to yell at you or get mad. I apologize. I truly do. I don't want to be like, this is a good day. I just don't like the thing where it's like, what is the saying? Revision in is history or whatever. I don't know what that is, but it's not even you can change history. Like just because like this hasn't been done in the past or it's only happened this many times or when. Like, dude, that has nothing to do with anything. Like, dude, they could go out there and win 16-1 and go win a Super Bowl. And what are you gonna do? Sit here and be like, "Well, I was just shocked they did it," because no teams ever gone undefeated on the road and won the Super Bowl. Like, I'm shocked they no, dude. Like, they're a good enough team to where it's like the same with the Chiefs. Like, the Chiefs are undefeated right now. Teams that like you could tell me the Chiefs can't go win a Super Bowl if they go undefeated on the road? No, like, what are we doing here?
Okay, Booner.
I get what you're saying. It's our job. I get it.
Here comes
I just don't like continuously being like, well,
guys, we have to use data. You guys bet. I mean, if a guy's hit a line 90% of games, are you going to bet him? Yes. Right? Like, so data matters, right? Oh, no, actually, fuck that. If he hasn't done it all year, Booner, put it in. Because fuck history. We'll just keep going. We just believe he'll do it. No, that's not how that works. You have to have some sort of comparison when you look at
Dan Campbell's going to be like, hey, guys, we need to drop a game on the road or we just can't win a Super Bowl.
No,
man.
It's not
that's
that.
Just how it's going to have to happen.
No. Honestly, forget the Super Bowl. My point is, rarely teams go undefeated. That's on the road. That's my point. You know what I mean? To go on that's the point. Fuck the Super Bowl. I brought that up, but it's not even related to this conversation. The conversation is regular season. You know what I mean? Like, that's what matters. I think they will drop one. Now, if you go Bills, let's say, like, and I don't know who said Bills. Was it you, Klotz? Maybe the Bills could be a tough one. Was it you? That would be 2 games they've lost at home and they go undefeated on the road. Like, could that happen? Sure. I just think they drop one in the division. I would probably lean, if I had to pick one, Vikings or Packers. I'm more Packers. I think the Vikings got a little bit of fraud to them. So I'd probably go
be at home, Hefe.
I understand that. I do. But the Packers are a good team. I don't think they're just some like ass team who no one should worry about. Like, they're a good team. And the Bills and the 49ers, those are the two. I would probably lean better team Bills right now. So that'll be a tougher game. But
so you think they're going to go undefeated on the road? RIP Super Bowl for the Lions.
49ers on the road. They could lose that game. I don't think the 49ers are a pushover. I don't know where.
No, I think that's the hardest game. I think that and the Bills are the 2 hardest games you have left on your schedule.
The 49ers they got McCaffrey back. He didn't play well, but like they missed like 3 field. They're a good team too. You know,
I agree.
So they got some tests here. You know, I think 14-3 I have them at 14-3, 15-2. I don't think they go 16-1. That's the only thing I would push back on. If you say 15-2, I don't care. I mean, it's fine.
I'll go 15-2. I'll go 15-2. I just don't see a world again. Like, I can't find a loss. The only losses I could sit there and say is it's like a playoff. It's essentially like a contender matchup. The Bills, in my opinion, are on the verge of being a contender. If they figure a way and just keep this thing rolling, Matt Milano is now is brought back from the IR. Like, they're on the verge of becoming a contender and they're playing better. And then the 49ers, once they get fully healthy, that's another contender. So you have 2 teams you play the rest of the season. And if you want to count the Packers at home, but like you have 2 teams for sure that are going to be contenders for a Super Bowl that you have to play. And those are your 2 hardest games. And I think like if you go 2-0 in those games, like, okay, this is a legit, like we already know they're legit, but like this might be an unstoppable football team. But if you like worst case scenario, you go 1-1, you beat one of them and you lose to one of them. And then that's where I see the extra loss here. That's it.
Yeah. The books have the Lions at 13.5 wins right now. So they think they're going to drop maybe 2 or 3 more games. So like looking ahead, like if let's say San Fran and the Lions played today, this might be Vegas saying that San Fran might be like a 2-point favorite, or like in Buffalo, maybe Buffalo's like a 1-point favorite just because they have Josh Allen. 13.5 minus 122. Number one, if they're going to win 14, 15 games, like we're all saying, I do really like that bet. But yeah, that's what the books have them at, is losing 2 or 3 more games.
Look at Hugh Jasmine. Appreciate the $10. Just James Houston doing work with shit in his pants has 100% redeemed.
Yeah.
He did.
Wow.
Boone,
Patty Betts ain't doing that.
Boone, I get you were trying to defend the guy. Great game yesterday. He pooped his pants yesterday.
I don't know.
Shit his
I don't
pants.
know.
That was a weird color Gatorade.
That's gritty.
Yeah,
That's a gritty.
That's gritty. That's
Maybe maybe it was a grass stain. Maybe he just like fell really, slid back in the
What do you
grass.
like?
No one
Wipe
else
his
had that
ass like a
grass.
dog, man? Like, what are you talking about?
Do they have grass in
Going
Houston?
across the carpet.
I mean, like, what do you mean? Why would it be in that spot specifically? I don't know. Well,
Yeah,
You
Michael
own it.
Michael
Big Dave,
Daly.
appreciate the Crunch Time membership as well.
Michael Daly.
Gritty shitty. I mean, you got to be. If he's willing to shit his pants to get sacks, I mean,
If he
that's,
gets a sack this week, he's got to do that, like the dog skirting across the carpet.
Oh, dude, that would be all time. That would be all time. At that point, you do have to just embrace it and just go all in with like the
Yeah, I swear
celebration.
to God.
dude. I mean, if I'm James Houston, I shit myself. Yep, I did.
Left it all out on the field.
Guess what? I left it all out there, literally and metaphorically. I left it all on that field. I left it all out there.
That's
I had
funny,
nothing
though.
left in
I
me.
mean, Titus Howard was probably just like, ooh, like you're one of the
Hey, it is kind of a good. It's a good tactic. Like the offensive players like don't want to touch you. Like I'm not going near him. Free path to the quarterback there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's better than Paul Pierce faking an injury and getting taken out of the game on a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Just do it on the field. Just do it on the
Just do
field.
it.
Who cares? This
Do it
is
on the
football.
field,
It's a
dude.
man's game.
Yeah. Like we're gonna give guys credit for puking mid snap. I mean, what about shitting? Like, are we gonna keep the same energy there?
That's
Like,
1,000%.
Bro,
I can't see.
You can't see. We can pull it up if we want to, but it's like, yeah, you won't be able to see. Pull it up on like screen share. That's 1,000. I think you can see the play when it happens too.
Oh, I mean, what are we
I
doing?
love how
We're
it's a
not out-
victory Monday. Lions are coming back from the biggest deficit with that amount of turnovers in franchise history. We're talking about James Houston shitting himself.
Yeah, I mean, leave the man alone. It's Gatorade. What are we doing here?
Yeah, that ain't Gatorade, bro.
That's Gatorade.
Boom, that is not Gatorade, bro. There's no way.
Oh, what are we doing? Take the man off full screen. Respect the man. He got us a sack yesterday.
There we go.
that
Hey,
is-
yeah. Best game of the season so far. I don't think it's coincidence. He was firing off the line a little quicker. He wanted that game to be over.
Have you guys never pooped your pants in your lifetime?
Absolutely.
I have.
Okay, so we can all
Hey, that's why we're not.
So you're admitting he should have.
no, but I'm saying if he did,
Oh,
I'm not. No, if he did, we all have, right?
yeah. No,
Why
hey,
was-
I got no problem with it. I mean, I'm just saying it. Just be like, yeah, I shit myself.
know
The
what's
Gatorade
quietly
thing.
the
Maybe say like I said on like. I mean, you gotta really think.
not Gatorade. Gatorade,
Yeah,
that's
Gatorade's
a
a
bad
tough
excuse.
Gatorade's a
They
tough one.
probably he was probably on the team playing. They were probably getting ready to go back, and all the boys were like, "Dude, we got to figure." And like Amon Ra was like, "You just say Gatorade, man. Just say that's a great way to get out of it." And then he's like, "All right, fire it off."
Then he tweeted it and was like, "Fuck, I shouldn't have did that."
Yeah.
Gatorade's probably not the right one there. Well, you know what? Speaking of grit and shit, I mean, Booner, you're giving out Kool-Aid. I'm curious if James Houston gets
what a
Kool-Aid.
transition that is.
I mean, does
Grit
James
shit,
Houston
Professional.
get
I like it.
Hey, great transition.
does James Houston get a Kool-Aid jug because he shit himself? We're gonna find out right now. We're gonna find out right now if he deserves.
Maybe at least some baby wipes. Speaking of it, because while he's getting ready, did you guys remember that tackle from Vaki on special teams? I think that was my favorite play of the game yesterday when he just absolutely blew up two Houston Texans. Kid's gonna be a man amongst boys.
Hey.
Yeah, he's been good on special team too. I think he caught a pass. I can't remember. That might have been week 2, the game we lost.
Yeah, the germ throw.
Yeah, he's been good on special teams. He's just a football player. That's a great draft pick by Brad Holmes. Just didn't draft for the position, just drafted a football player.
And the man can sing. The band can sing.
And he
too.
can sing. And
He's
he
got
can
vocal
sing.
cords. I mean, he just does. All right. We'll get Booner's Kool-Aid jugs here. See if James Houston earned one for crapping himself. I mean, or maybe not.
It's like a stat.
Yeah, it's like one sack.
2 pant legs shit on.
Yeah. Yeah.
One
One sack, one shit. And you know what? In one mission. And he did, and he accomplished that. So all good. All right, Boone.
Let's roll, boys.
All right, let's roll here. Hold on. You know what,
This
Boone?
is where we
I
gotta
think-
endure the Kool-Aid and a real American beer chaser.
and
It's
for those For those who aren't familiar,
Woo!
Booner gives out 3 Kool-Aid jugs for the week. And,
Sorry for the people with headphones.
He even has a bonus. I
have a bonus one today. Did I send a fourth one?
I don't know. Actually, he might not.
Hey, can you do that one last? I'm sorry. I need to start telling you. When you have up, let's hit that one last. That guy deserves all the credit in the world. Let's go, boy. Hey, I wish I could stand up.
Oh, he's getting rowdy. All right. First one.
Active a little bit.
Take a dog before you let him
All right,
out.
Kool-Aid Chugs of the week. Aaron Glenn, boys, every week, sponsored by Real American Beer. Listen, look, there he goes, Real American Beer, sponsored by the greatest beer in the world, greatest beer in America. First Kool-Aid jug handing out of the week, guys. I think this was the most obvious one of them all. The most obvious.
Love it.
Aaron Glenn. This man, guys, I'm going to tell you this. You guys need to take a step back and realize how grateful we are to have Aaron Glenn as our DC. Because come February, March, he will no longer be the defensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions. He will be coaching the New Orleans Saints. Last night, guys, he put on an absolute masterpiece. A DC, like when you have a DC in your room, in your building, you sit there and you go, what do I want out of this man? What he did last night is exactly what you want. Picture perfect. When you open up the dictionary book of defensive coordinator in the dictionary, there's a picture of that. That picture right there, guys. You guys see that? Can you guys still hear me?
Oh, yeah, Boone.
Yes, sir.
That picture right there, that's in the dictionary for defensive coordinator. 0 second half points given up. Joe Mixon, they held him 25 carries to an average of 1.8 yards per carry. That is one of the greatest run performances of the season so far defensively. Then CJ Stroud in the second half, guys, 4 for 8, 59 yards. Couldn't get anything going. Guess the only person he could really throw the ball to was Dalton Schultz. And what did he do? Nothing. Sam Laporte is 100 times better than him, and Aaron Glenn proved it. Guys, Aaron Glenn, Klotzy, Jeff, Caleb, Aaron Glenn gets, I think this is his third one of the year. This man just keeps stacking up Booner Kool-Aid jugs. Kool-Aid jug of the week, baby.
He's been stacking them up. I mean, I can't hate on the man.
All right, second one. Very well deserved. Give it up for Jahmyr Gibbs. Sonic, baby. Sonic. I struggle with this one because I think Jahmyr Gibbs had a great game. Statistically, when you look at it, yards per carry, that wasn't the best. It wasn't the normal 6 yards, 7 yards a carry, but he still had 71 rushing yards, 37 receiving yards, 108 all-purpose yards, and he was out there, guys. I think it was more so timely for Jahmyr Gibbs. It was in the fourth quarter, third quarter, when you needed some sort of spark offensively. Jahmyr Gibbs was the one that said, hey, I'll step up and make the plays. D-Mont didn't really get carries in the second half because Jahmyr Gibbs was the one that he stepped up. When nothing was going their way, when nothing was going the Detroit Lions' way offensively, Sonic said, I'll put the team on my back. Those runs on the outside, guys, he was like an inch away multiple times from breaking it and going for a tutty. Multiple times. Like he was literally like a foot away every single time for being like, hey, I'm about to end this game right now. So Jahmyr Gibbs, hey, I think this is like his third or fourth one of the year. Cheers to you, Real American Beer. Cheers to you, some Kool-Aid.
Wow, what a mix. Incredible.
Yummy.
He gets the second Kool-Aid jug of the week. And the third, I bet. Hey, real quick, before you throw it up, I want everyone in the chat, put in there who deserves a Kool-Aid jug if I have not said a name yet. If I have not said a name, if I'm missing someone, throw it in the chat. I want to see who people would give it to.
I'm seeing Nipsey Davis.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. There's only one spot left. There's two people I'm seeing. Throw it up there. Let's go. Jake effing Bates, baby. Give that man a... Hey, give Jake Bates a Kool-Aid jug. 2 for 2, 52-yarder, 58-yarder. Guys, these weren't just any chip shots. This man in the fourth quarter hit 2 of the biggest field goals in his lifetime. A game-winning field goal after a historic comeback. He deserves all of the credit in the world. Guys, hey, I have nothing else to say about Jake Bates. Jake effing Bates, you deserve that. If you're watching, I love you.
Well deserved.
Yep. I mean, Jake effing Bates. There's nothing left to say there.
And you know what? And the people think I'm done.
Yeah, I was gonna say no way.
The people think, hey, I don't leave anyone out. I love my football team. I love the players on this team. I do this for the city of Detroit. I do this for the Detroit Lions. And there was one player yesterday who put the team on his back. Jake Bates did, yes. Aaron Glenn did, yes. Guys, let me introduce you to one of the best corners in the NFL. Carlton Davis III, baby. 2 massive interceptions down the stretch, boys.
Nipsey
kept
Davis.
this Detroit Lions team in the game. I would never leave him out of this. He deserves it all. I'm exhausted right now from just running around here.
Nipsey Davis would be proud.
He deserves all of this. Carlton Davis gets I don't even know. I have to start calling this fourth one something, but he gets the Booner 4th Kool-Aid jug of the week.
There you go.
Shout out
Boone.
Carlton
I was
Davis.
gonna say,
There
Boone.
was no way you could leave off Carlton, Boone.
Yeah, it would have been bold.
Hey, a lot of people were mad. A lot of people were mad. Sorry for the people, headphones users. That's on me if I'm yelling.
It would have been bold if you left off Nipsey Davis.
Never would.
It would have been
Never
bold.
would.
I love it. I'm trying to think of like anyone else you could give one to. I mean, that's
No
Brian
one.
Branch, maybe.
Brian Branch had an incredible game, yeah.
10 tackles, couple pass deflections. He's just all over the field. But he might be the best defensive player in football.
11 tackles.
He's not going to win DPOY because he's a DB. But dude, he's unreal. He's the best football player on the field at all times.
Yeah, he's
Factual, no fiction.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have much idea.
Caleb looked at me, I think during the show and said it, and I was like, I mean, you can make an argument. Brian Branch is the best defensive player in the NFL. And I think he's competing for Defensive Player of the Year. When I looked up the odds, I think he's in it.
I mean, the Lions have 2 of the best safeties in the NFL. It's crazy as a duo. Tyler says Stroud will now be known as Carlton Davis the 4th. That's his son.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Take it.
CJ Stroud, he only had 4 picks on the year, I think, and he had 2 in that game.
Yeah, same quarter too, I believe, wasn't it?
Same with
Nasty.
Jared Goff. Only had 4 on the year and basically doubled it. And same with Stroud.
More than double.
6 total interceptions in that game. That's wild. Everyone on the Texans was like, I get one. Like, come on. Even guys that didn't have a pick on the year. Like
Henry
Jimmy Ward.
Toa.
Yeah. Like
you haven't heard of him since fucking Bama when he wasn't even anything there. He was really just a guy that went to USC and got drafted in like the 7th round. Dude's coming up with Jared Goff picks. Fuck out of here. Tell you, it was just a bad half of football when Henry Toa was making plays.
Yeah, I could. I'm still shocked. I mean, I think in the Goff had like a 5-game stretch where he didn't throw a pick. He's probably gonna have another 6-game stretch with no pick. I mean, that's kind of how it's looking here. He's gonna get back locked in. All right, good stuff, Boone. Good stuff. By the way, yeah, this parlay is cooked. It's cooked. I'm sorry. The parlay we had for tonight's cooked. This game is disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, I think anything that you bet on that game outside of maybe some money lines, but what's the score right now? Dolphins are up.
Oh, it's disgusting.
10-6.
Yeah, so who's betting on the Dolphins money line? Maybe go grab the Rams money line while it's lowered because it's only a matter of time till they get the ball going. But you expect that to be an offensive game, and it's just shit. As Caleb said, it's poop.
Yep, it's poop. It's a poop game. But I don't think it's that dead. If Jeff, if you're talking about the one you sent, I don't think it's dead. I think we're alive. They just got to throw the ball to Jonnu Smith. That's it.
That's it. Jonnu Smith, by the way, Boone, I get a Rams, one of the highest in terms of giving up yards to tight ends. They're like top 3. So it's even crazier that Jonnu doesn't have a catch yet. Oh, that is wild.
We can't. Oh, never mind. Actually, sorry.
What's up, Boone?
Wait, what? No,
that's on me. No, I wanted to play a video, but we can't.
By the way, the parlays we had on Sunday. Yeah, Dave Montgomery cooked like 3 of my parlays. I know what that means.
Wait, like 6 more yards.
You know what we're doing next week?
All in on D-Mon. The next week will be a D-Mon game for sure. They want to get him going. Jaguars, Chad Muma and Devin Lloyd. Good luck. Good fucking luck. That's all I have to say. Josh Hines Allen. Good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck.
It's a Dave Montgomery game next week.
It will be for sure.
Over on everything.
You guys see the amount of fans in Houston yesterday for the Lions? Like, crazy.
I heard something where like one of the cameramen didn't know if the field goal made it or not because there was so much cheering. Where usually you see it in an away game, if the opposing team makes a game-winning field goal, nobody's cheering. And yeah, apparently they said like 40%, 35-40% Lions fans there, which is insanity, crazy. These fans are nuts, and it's awesome.
Yeah. I heard McAfee say, "You think they'll travel to Indy?"
Oh my god!
You think?
Yeah.
Hey, Pat, you think?
Yeah, especially the close proximity places. Indy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you ain't safe, Pat. They're coming to Indy. That place will be 40% Lions fans too.
There's 3 away games left. It's Indianapolis, fans will be there. Chicago, promise you there will be a lot of fans in Chicago. And San Francisco. You don't think Lions fans want to go back there for that rematch? Like, Lions fans are about to have a great time in these last 3 home away games. A great time.
Not to mention that at the point now where there's going to have bandwagon fans. Like, I'm sure, like, those fans that were down there, like, there's probably some legit Lions fans, but there's probably some just NFL fans down there just like the Lions go. So they'll always have some support wherever.
Okay.
Munich. Drop them in Munich. The blue stadium. Blue stadium.
I mean, that's all Amon-Ra St. Brown fans.
That is true. Hey, Boone.
That's all it is.
That's a good point, Boone.
I have something. I have something to pick, a bone to pick with Lions fans.
The enforcer.
Jeff knows exactly what I'm going to say.
Oh, I don't.
I just want it known out there. First of all, I've been a Lions fan my whole life, right? Like, we have all gone through losing. The people who feel it's like you know what I'm talking about, Jeff?
Yeah.
Why this is just my question to people. As Lions fans, why can we all not just celebrate what's happening right now? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, why can't we all just be happy with each other, huh? Like, let's stop being like, act like we haven't been here. We've never won a Super Bowl. We haven't won the NFC North for the first time last year in 30 years. I want every single Lions fans in the chat and whoever, enjoy the ride. Don't let people be like, oh, what are you doing? No, enjoy the ride. Go out there, cheer, say whatever you want, cheer with whatever you want. Go support this football team until you die. If you're one of those fans who want to gatekeep people having fun and how people cheer and what they do, go to a different fan base, because here in Detroit, hey, we're supporting this football team, huh? I had a little bone to pick because I saw a lot of comments. I was not happy today. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, a lot of people in the Kool-Aid comment section saying this guy's, this
50
guy.
It wasn't like one or it's like 50 comments of just saddle Lions fans act like we've been, buddy. We haven't been here. Like, oh, this guy is just like, this is, buddy. Like,
so give people the backstory. So you posted the Kool-Aid video, and there was a lot of it was usually, I'm gonna be honest, it was a lot of.
It's like 50 or 70 comments of Lions fans.
And they were like, this guy doesn't represent all of our fan base, act like you've been there before,
that's crazy.
It's like,
it was crazy.
Like, the Lions have not been there before.
What are we trying to be like? There's no being mature in this situation. We're the best team in the NFL for the first time ever. If Boone wants to go in front of Ford Field and spill Kool-Aid all over himself, and also Boone, I want to say, how are you? How's the knee? You good?
Knee is good. I texted guys yesterday. I said, hey, game time decision, hyperextension of the knee.
Yes.
So, I might not be able to do that much activity. I have to heal up for the Jags game. So once I do the Kool-Aid chug for the Jags game, I should be 100%, should be good to go. But I will be limited practice all week on the practice report. But things are looking up for Sunday.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear.
Expected full go, no limitations.
Yes.
Out there. Yeah.
Those comments, the knee, hey, that was the funnest. That was the best. That was why I was like, dude, that was the best Kool-Aid jug I've ever done. Klotzy's filmed all of them this year. And I think he would say, like, out of the 8 we've done, that was outside of Ford Field. I know it was like not a packed stadium or anything, like it was an away game, but being out there was no one on the streets basically. And it was just me. Yeah, it was just me in Ford Field. I felt I was in my zone there. And Klotzy.
And look at this, Steve and David. I had a friend, Texans fan, at the game. He said he's never seen another team's fans travel to Houston like that. Lions fans everywhere he looked. They broke out the hustle dance. That is insane how much they do travel. And they're everywhere. I mean, I got family in Arizona. They're Lions fans. And I don't know if it's because people in Michigan just like move, like they literally just move everywhere. I don't know, or they're just like, hey, I like the Lions. I'm gonna be a Lions fan. I don't know, but I love to see that. That is awesome. Also, Steve had asked Mailbag, has Caleb put his reputation on the line yet tonight?
I did not tonight, but my reputation is saved. I dubbed big time yesterday, 4-leg parlay. If you saw that video, I hit that. And then I was the smart man, took Lions -2.5. I didn't want to play with the hook, took that, put a lot of units on it. So I am absolutely fucking back. I don't want to hear any shit about reputation or the curse anymore. I'm back. I'm back.
I love it. I love that. Let's go, Caleb. Let the people know.
Yeah, you hit a banger. Hey, yeah, I mean, you hit a banger. I think you're the only one who won anything. I mean, won like parlays yesterday. I think the boys were all cooked.
Had to keep it simple with, the JMO yards. That line was just low, man. 36.5. Maybe Vegas thought that Dan Campbell wasn't going to play him much because of the suspension and everything. And then Demont touchdown. He finally got back in the end zone. Goff yards. That's what I was nervous about because, he threw 5 picks. I was thinking the whole time, man, I think I cursed this guy. I think I just ruined the season. Yeah. That's on me. And then, Lions money line, just an easy, nice 4-leg parlay to get me back on track. It felt really good.
Sweating it down all the
man's back.
Yeah, no more. I saw someone in the comments appreciate the insight because they said don't put the same leg in multiple parlays. I said that's fair. Montgomery 40 was in 2 of mine. Butchered it.
I had 2 parlays yesterday. I had the Booner's lay of the day, and then I always do just separate one. And I did do all 4 different legs, different players as well. And the only one that didn't hit, and people are gonna be like, Booner, you're crazy for betting this. I had a 4-leg parlay, like plus 1,000, and the one leg that did not hit was Jack Campbell over 7.5 tackles. And he had 7 on the dot. I just needed one more, and it was plus 1,000, and it was a great. I was like Jared Goff 2 touchdowns, Lions money line, or not Lions money line. I can't remember. It was like St. Brown. Oh no, St. Brown touchdown, Goff 2 touchdowns. JMO over yards, and then it was over 7.5 Jack Campbell tackles, and I missed by one tackle.
It's a gritty thing to put in.
One tackle. I love betting, and people, I don't give them out because they're just different plays, and people might be like, Booner, you're a degenerate. I do love betting players' tackles, and I do love betting, and you guys know this, I text it to you all the time, field goals. Field goals. Primetime field goals over. I should have done it yesterday. Now that I think about it, always take the over in a game for primetime field goals. Like, look at the game tonight. There's already, I think, 3 field goals in the game tonight, and the line is always 3.5. Always 3.5. Like the Lions game would have smacked. It would have smacked 3.5 easy. Tonight, primetime, over 3.5. They have 3 already. You need one more. It's a lock every primetime game.
Trust your primetime kickers.
Yeah.
That's what they say. Trust them.
Yeah. All right, we got Steven David says, Mailbag, what game would you choose as the highest risk to be the trap game?
Klotz, you had a good explanation on this if you want to go again. Because I think you explained it really well.
Unless you're going to say that they're going to lose to the Colts or the Jaguars, which I don't think they are at, there's going to be zero chance of that. I think when you look at the rest of the schedule, it's a lot of divisional games, and you got the Bills and you got the 49ers. So when you look, I'm not going to consider any divisional game a trap game, even if it's Chicago Bears. Because divisional game, those games are always a lot closer. Minnesota Vikings, they're not sneaking up on you. So outside of the Jags and Colts, the trap game was probably last night because Houston was definitely not the favorite on the road. You're going into there, and you're thinking that you're going to be the favorites and you're going to be able to walk over this Houston Texans team. They're a good team, but they're not a really complete team, what they normally are with Stephon Diggs and Nico Collins, banged up offensive line. A lot of guys coming back for defense, so they're not going to be flowing right. Like, it was a game where the Lions were supposed to go in there and they were supposed to dominate and at least play from 1 to 4 and control the game. And they didn't do that. They were supposed to lose that game. Jared Goff had 5 interceptions. That first half was the worst half of football we've seen offensively from this team since the last 2 years, probably since the 1-6 days. So I don't see a trap game happening. I think if they lose a game, like, it's something that you're going to, okay, this game's going to be close. I don't see them going into Indy and losing. I just don't see that.
Yeah, losing to if they lose to the Bills or the Niners, that's not losing a trap game. That's just losing to a good team. So, I mean, I don't, like you said, I think you explained it perfectly. There's no more, I don't think there's a trap game left.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't know about trap game. I think they I don't like Colts or Jags. It's like, I mean, if you're gonna lose to one,
especially now,
if you're saying between those two, probably Colts. But I think we all agree they'll be both. You know what I mean? I don't think.
Yeah, I would say it's the Colts. And Jeff, you know what? I hate sometimes the stat you pulled up on us, but I would say the Colts because it's on the road.
Yeah, those. I mean, you never know on the road. Teams might sneak up on you a little bit.
I will say
If
that.
it's Anthony Richardson, I'm putting the house on the money line Lions. I ain't scared of Anthony Richardson. I'll tell you that. No Flacco, a little different. Go on, Caleb.
I forgot to mention this. Jake Bates is even more of a hero today because you look at the NFC North. If Jake Bates doesn't hit that field goal on the road in Minnesota to win that game, we're second in the NFC North right now. For some reason, the Vikings just keep winning games. They're 7-2. I think we're talking about this season a lot more differently if we're second in the NFC North right now at 7-2 below the Vikings. So Jake Bates, I love you double today for hitting that field goal against the Vikings.
Yeah. All right. Jay Hart says, Mailbag fellas, how do we not talk about JMO coming back from with some pivotal plays off the suspension? What a game.
Definitely big, especially in those first half. Both those catches in the first half were hands catches, difficult catches. That double catch where he got absolutely smoked and put into a blender, got the wind knocked out of him. He's coming back into form, and I think, like I said it on the pregame stream, I don't think he's going to have like a huge day, but he's definitely going to get involved. But Jameson Williams, this offense is better than it was last year, I think by a gap. Maybe not total yards wise, but when you watch this team, this is a better offense than last year. And I think Jameson Williams, whether he has the ball in his hands or not, is a huge reason in doing that just because of the player that he is. I understand there's the off-the-field issues that he's going through, but when he's on the field, he's a very, very good and effective player for this team.
Yeah, I mean, think about that. Like that play he made in the fourth quarter where he gets hit basically on both sides and he gets hurt and he gets back up and ends up still playing. But like the double catch Klotz he's talking about, like to make that catch in the fourth quarter when the game's on the line, to know like I cannot drop this pass and to hang on to it. Like he had 3 big catches, all of them meaningful, and he was able to kind of like that catch, guys. I don't think like that's a big time catch. It was like 14 minutes left of the fourth quarter. You're trying to march down the field to get something, like just to show you have life. And guess what comes at the end of that possession after that catch? A touchdown that puts you right back in the football game, makes it a 3-point game. So JMO did his job. Like he's just he's been consistent this year. I know he's had a game where he's just like maybe not much, like 1 or 2 of those games. But like even in those games, like he's blocking, he's like, it's not like he's just completely gone. Like he is out there still getting snaps, blocking, and if they don't target him, he still does his job off the ball, which is like what you look for in a big time wide receiver like that.
Yeah, yesterday was like a heavy dose of like usually you'll see like a Tim Patrick catch, maybe like even like 1 Allen Robinson catch. We got none of that yesterday. It was Amon-Ra had 6, I think JMO had 3, Laporta had 3, and then I think Gibbs and Monty both had 1. So only 2 wide receivers caught the ball yesterday for the Lions, and yeah, they're all big catches. Amon-Ra had a big catch on the third down. He had a touchdown, and then JMO, all those catches on third down as well. And Laporta with a long touchdown. I think like a 25-yard touchdown, and then that long one, that like 40-yard pass.
All right, let me see. I got one more. Okay, Scratch Golf. Shout out, by the way, Marco pulling up. Yeah. Well, yeah, to the watch party yesterday. Mailbag, when will Jeff break 100? I think that's going to have to be a next season thing. All right, we're going to have to push it back next season. What's up, Boo?
Just get in the lab. That's what the winter's for. Let's get in the lab.
No.
I'll break 90. You break 100.
We're in the lab as soon as possible.
I say we make a statement right now, both of us. We say, hey, season's over for the fellas. Let's get in the lab. I'm going to get 89 and you're going to get 99 this next year. And that's next season's the biggest season of our lives. Great rookie season by you, Jeff Iafrate.
Yep. It was promising. That's what it was. Xavier D. Mailbag
season, some would say.
Mailbag, how much has Decker's appreciation grown? I mean, thank God he's extended. I'll say that.
I was, and I'll throw it out. I didn't like, and I was pretty vocal on it. I didn't like the slant. Like, I understand he wasn't playing that great for 2 weeks. I didn't like the slander. I think it's okay to talk about it, and that there were people out there asking, like, what are we going to do with Decker going forward? We just signed him to, like, Taylor Decker. It's just one of those situations where a guy, like, he had a bad time. Like, we have bad shows sometimes where I struggle. People struggle. Like, in your job, you're going to struggle. Like he did for 2 weeks, and he bounced back in Green Bay. And then now, obviously, I think yesterday showed a lot, like, how big pivotal of a piece he is to this Lions. Like, the people who were going at him for those 2 weeks, guys, he's your starting left tackle. There's a reason they extended him. He's a top 15 tackle in the NFL when he's at his best. So, like, the slander and the hate for Taylor Decker is just something else. Like, it's just probably uncalled for. But yesterday, I think a lot of those people had to take a step back and be like, yeah, like he is a very pivotal piece of this offense. Very pivotal.
I think it is what it is. I think the opinions really shouldn't have changed. Like, he was struggling, like Booner says. He's going to get back on track. But I don't think it was even just Taylor Decker. Like we talked about, like Panay was getting work. That whole offensive line was getting work. Even if Taylor Decker was in there last night, I think even him, he's going to have some troubles too. So I just think the offensive line as a whole struggled. And yeah, it's going to be because Taylor Decker's out. But I think there's also more than that. Just the line. Like we saw it against Green Bay last year at home. They just didn't show up in that first half. And I think that was just the case last night.
Williams is Mailbag. How many sacks should Zadarius Smith get against the Jags this week?
I'm going to try and bet on him to get one. If they have it on the sports book, give me one for him.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence.
Minimum.
That Ford Field is going to go. Yeah, you're exactly right.
Half the
Ford
sack.
Field is going to explode.
He'll get something. He's going to leave.
Oh, do you remember the last time the Jags played the Lions? Who went crazy?
James Houston.
James Houston. Yeah.
Shit,
Well, I was in the building 2 years ago.
Yeah, he's gonna. Yeah, that.
Shout out Maz. Maz said, "Boone, you want to go to the game?" Two years ago. Yeah, why not? I'll go. Went. I just stood there by myself at Ford Field, just alone, in a little concourse watching the game by myself. And I literally stayed from start to finish and just saw James Houston just go absolutely nuts and almost end to Trevor Lawrence's career by that he had like a gator roll.
Probably why Trevor Lawrence is going on IR. He doesn't want anything to do with the Lions this year.
Is he on IR?
Jeff said he might be put on it.
Wow.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked because the way the Jags look, why rush that man back? You know what I mean?
Wow.
It's like he's injured. They stink. He might pull like a Dak.
Tough for your Jags, Jeff.
I can't believe. I can't believe Doug Peterson's still the coach of that football team.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, that's ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
He might be one of the. He's a top 5 worst coach in football.
Yeah, Trevor
shouldn't
might
have a
come
job.
back. If I was him, I'd be like, fuck this. I mean, you saw what Dak did. See you guys getting surgery. I'm not playing with this. I'm not dealing with
the
this.
Dak instantly, it was like it's just a day-to-day or it's a week-to-week thing, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, he's done for the year. His team is like
against the Falcons too. He literally was like, we suck, and he's just done.
What's crazy, I've been pretty. What I hate, like Dak, I'm pretty sure he signed his extension. Like, what are you doing? Like, get to the end of the year and go play somewhere else. Like, you just that's the worst place to be, I think, in football is the Dallas Cowboys with Carolina. Jerry Jones, who's just so incompetent.
Jonnu Smith.
Catch, there we go. I just know, like, Dak, like, dude, just get to the end of the season. Like, right now, imagine if he didn't have signed that extension with Dallas. He would just be like, out for the year. He's going to sign for the same amount of money at the end of the year with a different football team and probably have a chance to be better than he would in Dallas. It's incredible that he did that. His team, someone in his circle needed to be like, hey, man, I think we should leave.
By the way, before we end the show, I did bet the live bet Tyreek Hill TD. What's going on with him, dude? Is he cooked? I mean, what are we doing?
He's in my fantasy team. It's the worst.
Tyreek Hill ain't cooked. That Miami Dolphins team is just cooked in general.
Give that man the rock. Jesus.
You were to put that man in
I mean, what are we doing?
Houston, he'd be all pro.
I got him live bet plus 180 with the boost, like plus 250 to score a TD.
I got plus 270.
Remember, he's coming off injury. Remember, Amon-Ra was super quiet against the Rams. They do a pretty good job from time to time at shutting down number ones. Like Waddle's going off right now, I'm pretty sure, isn't he? Just like how J-Mo's going off week 1.
Yeah, it's like
sure.
Tre'Davious White was traded.
It don't matter.
I just needed 20.
Legend.
To win in fantasy, I needed 20 points from Tyreek, or like 21 points. And it just he used to be like automatically you'll get that out of him. And it's just this
he hasn't had a TD since week 1.
Yeah, I get no production out of him. He has 3 points.
Still not over though. We appreciate you guys so much, man. Continue to support. Also, happy Veterans Day. Hey, it's big time. Lions victory. Yes. Huge win. We'll be back tomorrow. Wednesday, we got a great show tomorrow. We got John Macroon. We're gonna have a Jags beat writer on. First time ever.
That'll be interesting.
Hey, pick his brain about Trevor Lawrence. We'll see. Until tomorrow, appreciate you guys. We'll catch you. See you.
Peace.